Sorry. All right, this might help. See what we got here. Well, good evening. I want the moon to be at least as big as my head. I'm just thinking, like, if you were like a remote viewer, like in the 1800s or something like that, like, what must all this look like to you? It's just, it's just funny to me. That's all right. I'm just going to sit here amusing myself. You guys can tune in or tune out as you please. All right. Hopefully you can hear me though, and I'm not just talking to myself right now. I think my microphone's plugged in properly. Let me make sure this microphone's working all right. Yes, it is. It looks like. Okay, that looks good. All right. Well, hey. Then, I'm glad everybody's here. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not. That's my going to be my first thing to do. I'm going to let you guys know, if you do follow me live, I'm going to be pretty much moving it all here entirely. Okay, it's all going to be entirely brought over to this channel as far as live material goes. So the backup mirror is going to have a different name at some point. I'm not just going to call it the Gabriel Cruz Research Mirror Channel. I'll just find another name for it, like, I don't know, live reports or something like that, where it'll be material of a different focus, I guess. And that way I can leave most of what I've been doing over at the other channel intact. That's been in process for about 4 years. Oh, whoosh, longer, I think. When did I start that channel? I think I've been doing material for about 5 years now, and I can't believe that it's been that long. That's so strange, because I just feel like I started doing all this, like I'm just working my way around all the quirks and learning software even. It's bizarre. But anyways, hey, cheers. And so without giving away too much strategy, part of what I've been doing in the absence of being on my normal channel, I didn't want to just give up and not do any live streaming, because I rely too much upon it to reach people. And it just felt like so aggressive the way the other channel was being just pinged for things that aren't even happening. I'm not even, in some cases, I really am scratching my head going, what did I do? They're like, you use this song. I go, I didn't though. You can't appeal. But it's not anywhere inside my clip. You can't appeal. Computer says no. Computer says no. I don't know if you guys ever saw that show. What is it called? What the hell is the name of that show? Is it Little Britain or something like that? Or is that the name of it? There was a show where these two British guys, they had a variation that was on, I think, in the UK, and they did one for American television for HBO, and it had this one character that would just go into a loop of frustration with everybody who approached her and say, computer says no. Computer says no. Oh, I'm sorry. Computer says no. No. Computer says no. Didn't matter what you had going on, computer says no. Computer says no. No, I look on here. Computer says no. We're all dealing with that a bit, aren't we? Computer says no. I'm sorry. Computer says no. Everywhere we go. Honestly, though, actually, I keep getting told that I had actually a couple decent things happen lately, though. You know, so it wasn't entirely bad. You know, uh, my interactions with computers and things like that, they haven't entirely been negative. So, hey, welcome, Lisa Wordsmith. Uh, the ATA the let me think here, guys. There's so many inaccuracies that are going on right now. So many tragic inaccuracies that are going on to manipulate everybody's perceptions, not just here, but pretty much globally. And those of us who are really trying to do something about it, to just elevate people and move them into a more spiritual perspective, they want to constantly drag us down into lies, deception, and physical reality. I would say trauma. They want us anchored here so that we constantly vibrate into reality what they're trying to get done, which is to convince us all that a death cycle exists. And I'm in a very uh, optimistic perspective right now, but a low state of tolerance for the nonsense as far as that goes. I'm not letting it bother me, though. I think my new state of being, just like having a low level of tolerance to it, is just to simply just call it out when it's there. We know what's going on. Um, so there's really not even any need to expand excessively on it, as far as, like, MSM and everything else like that that's going on, Mockingbird journalists. But I wanted to bring it up today relative to what's going on with the field of energetics globally, how different cultures perceive energetics, and what's going on with Western cultures versus the ones that do have a strong understanding of bioenergetics, and what is energetics, and why is it relevant to the overall? Um, why is it relevant overall? Bioenergetics is like the thing that every other culture understands intrinsically, but ours completely is in denial of in ways that are just completely bizarrely obscene. It makes really no sense at all why it is that way. We're causing our society a huge gap in. I would say we're dumbing our culture down exponentially by denying the existence of bioenergetics, and it's costing us because those of us who understand it are being hampered oftentimes, and we're not doing everything. By myself, like, I'm bad at this, guys, because I understand it now, but once you get it, you understand that allowing the wrong perspectives into yours, or which is to say, like, let me give you an example. Is it possible to watch the news passively with commercials and everything, rather without it affecting you? Can you watch it critically without at least part of it absorbing into you and programming the collective consciousness? Or is it really a little bit like what you're truly doing is providing a conduit of garbage, a conduit of negativity, of negative influence into the collective consciousness at the one point that you have control over, your conscious mind? And this is one of the reasons why I, again, even though I was trying to keep up with current events, I had to make a effort. I was kind of staying in crappy hotel rooms, guys, and, like, sometimes if your Wi-Fi is in garbage condition or whatever, you sometimes will say, like, okay, I can only do so many things on the internet at once, so I think I'll watch television or something. I'll make it the news, so I'm not being all, like, just making it garbage television. I can't watch much of anything, but unless it's like feels like they're at least attempting to communicate some variation that resembles a fact. Um, Reality television not included. Um, let's talk about cadences. about programming our subconscious, because I want to talk about energetics, but let's talk about psychoenergetics and mass resonance manipulation, because this is, I'm glad I actually thought about reality television. Thank you. I'm glad I thought about reality television when I said this, okay? Because reality television is heavily a part of this whole thing, right, relative to the collective consciousness. Give me 1 second, I'll be right back. Here is, I'm going to play an art. I'm going to show you something really quick here about, oops, sorry. I want to show you something really quick here about well, I can't do it before I go because it disappeared suddenly. I'll be right back. So what they do is, hang on guys, be right back. No, Larry, hang on really quick. Hang on. Yeah, I'm the master of working discounts, guys. In fact, if you want me to tell you how I can get you, I can find a way to get you about over $30 worth of groceries delivered to you for half that price. I don't like advertising for different people though, but I'll tell you how to do it if you ever ask me. I can tell you guys how to work these things because I spent a lot of times doing research relative to the applications that handle a lot of the processing of those economies, I'll put it that way. So I know a lot about them and the way they all function, and that there's a lot of ways where you can be extremely creative with working percentage, discount percentage, with by bundling things that have no actual connection to it. I'll tell you privately. Seriously, I will. I can actually give you an exact example right now where I can tell you how you can get it done, delivered to your door. And if you're willing to drive, a mile or two, you can even get a bigger discount, just depending on your circumstances. But yeah, it's really the way it works is, number one, there's nearly every time, guys, there's about 4 different applications that I can promise you. I don't know what it is. It's like they're in constant rotation. It's almost like they're owned by the same group. That might be it. And each one makes a decision that they're going to have this same incentive move from one to the other. So it's almost always something like 50% off, 40% off, or $20 off of $30, these types of things. Then what you do is you get a special kind of like debit card that's associated with an app. And I'm not going to tell you which ones because I don't like advertising, guys, except to say that I use one of them and one of them's inside my description. Okay. I'll tell you guys privately though. I'm just not going to put it in a clip. And then you use that card, which will give you an extra 10%. And so in some cases, if you're on a trial subscription or you're actually a subscriber, they'll always give you 5 to 10% off depending on the application. Then you work one of these coupons, you can get an extra 40 to 50% off on some of those. And then if you have this special card that you use on the app, that'll take an extra, almost always at least 10 to 15%, depending on what they're offering on a promo on the card that week, where it's like they call it a boost. And it's like a way for you to like get discounts with your card. So sometimes the boost that you use on this special debit card that you load is that they'll give you like a 5% rebate of crypto, of Bitcoin. Sometimes it's if you use it at a coffee shop, they'll always take $1 off. If you use it at Domino's Pizza, they'll take 5% off. If you use it at, sorry to give, I'm not trying to advertise for people, but like a burger joint, they'll give 5 to 10% off, for example. Okay. But in particular, they'll almost always have 1 to 2 food apps or delivery applications that offer an extra 10% off as a boost. So imagine this, they don't, that's a separate incentive from whatever that company's offering. So they're not tied together. So the company's not going to go, hey, you can't work 2 coupons. No, this is like a way to work 2 coupons and have it delivered to you cheaper. So literally, guys, I think the total the total was like $15, and I for a gallon of milk, 2 jugs of water, fresh water, 2 boxes of cereal, and some organic frozen meals, 2 of them, to the door. You try to do better, because I have a hard time doing better going to the store. And that's where, like, Amy's organic meals too. Those are like the more expensive ones, but they had them there and they were cheaper than normal. So the difference between those and the ones that were like garbage were next to nothing. And it's just the amount of food you got relative to the price was different, was all. But yeah, I mean, that's enough. Look, that what I just got there, that's enough food for a person like me. I can eat on that for like 3 days easily, what I just got. I mean, just because I love eating cereal, number one. I just don't ever get sick of it. Other things I get tired of for the most part, but I can eat a lot of cereal. Sorry, guys, I just deviated for like several minutes into a conversation about discounts, and I don't like advertising for people, but yeah, but I can tell you all kinds of different ways to work those discounts like that. I mean, really, like ways that you would like have no clue existed that you could work that much like off of, get like a ton of things like for next to nothing. But yeah, it helps that I had a lot of experiences within them. So, anyways, um, so crap, I was talking about something before all that happened, and it was important. Energetics globally, distractions. Okay, guys, distractions, global energetics, distractions. I was going to talk about things relative to Russia, the Ukraine, and it is relevant, guys. It's strange actually. There is the clip. See, why couldn't I find it earlier? I'm such a schmo. All right. This is my meme, by the way. It's not that clever of one, but it's a meme that I'll explain at some point later. Actually, I shouldn't. You're not supposed to explain memes excessively. That's my critical flaw. I feel the need to explain my memes. All right. Yeah, I mean the news cycle is garbage. So what do we do, guys? We don't get a lot of this information. Like, I was surprised to see this clip that I'm going to show you pretty soon. I'm not even sure that I should, because I'm a little bit concerned that it'll get me a strike. Maybe I should just kind of always seems to happen, especially when it comes to this material. This is a new channel though, so maybe it won't have the same effect if I like keep it muted or something like that. But I at least want you to see this footage, so that you know that it exists. Hang on here. There it is. All right. Yeah, all right. So, all right. I'm bringing this up, guys, because like I was kind of surprised to see this as I was researching people like well, it started off that I was getting more curious about the Minnesota DFL and how they influence American politics. Because I was finding tight connections between Minnesota DFL, that's the Democrat Farmer Labor Party, who have some pretty high profile Dems in there. That would be Keith Ellison, who I don't know if he still is, but last I checked, he was deputy chair of the DNC. Guys, I'm really behind on things like that, so if I'm wrong, just tell me. I don't have a clue lately. Like I said, I really try not to pay attention to all of it. I feel like we're better off when we don't, and I'm not trying to get you focused on it. I'm kind of giving you some perspective on some reasons why energetics plays a part here in global politics relative to the Cold War, and why they're trying to reboot it right now. Because we are ignorant about energetic science. And one thing I can tell you is Russia has always had strong knowledge about energetics, very strong knowledge. They are basically where Karelian photography was invented, if I'm not mistaken. And so everything that I've been discussing relative to biofield and biofield research really is sort of a Russian invention or Russian innovation. And they don't really like to admit things like that. Oh, they don't do anything. It's nearly third world conditions over there, is what we're all supposed to believe. They want you to believe that, well, they're just kind of cleverly hiding communism, guys. They're always insinuating this about Russia. And then when you see this cluster of both Republican war hawks like John McCain and a guy like Lindsey Graham right next to an Amy Klobuchar, and they're just right next to a whole group of Ukrainian soldiers basically saying, yes, we are going to support you. You're going to get everything that you need to defend your borders and everything like that against all these Russians and Russian aggression. Listen, folks, look, I'm not from Russia, and I'm not going to pretend to have a sophisticated enough knowledge of all of the layers of decades of history or longer that go into what goes on between those borders of the Ukraine and Russia. It's a long history. It's complicated. But the one thing that I did learn that I did not know, that maybe you should know if you don't already, is the Nazism that exists in Ukraine to this day. That Nazism is a big part of why there is this sort of rift. There was leftover pockets heavy of Nazism that kind of surrounded what was Mother Russia relative to the larger, what was the Soviet Union back then. So, I mean, the pockets of Nazism being like, if you think about it, guys, it's who won that war, and where did that country go with their governance relative to the rest of the world, and why did they do that? All right, so we had the Cold War. A lot of people agree that, including Russia, it didn't work out for them. They're no longer a communist nation. We can agree on that, right? So, that part's over. There's no need to feel threatened by that portion of Russia at this point. So what's with the aggression still? This is the thing that I had to understand myself, that I'm not sure people in America get. That if you have never really studied Operation Paperclip at all, and you don't have a good history of the number of Nazis that were in the United States prior to everything starting with global conflict, then you're going to miss quite a few layers of truth. And what I mean to say is that the Ukraine, what I would suggest to you guys is to maybe, like, if you want to know more about this, on Twitter, what I've been doing is I just kind of keep an eye on some of the posts that get made from the Russian embassy or just from the country of Russia in general. And the thing that I've observed about them compared to us is their strong pride in defeating the Nazis. They are so proud. It is like such a source of pride to the Russians that they I mean, it's not as if like they're happy that this whole thing happened or anything like that, obviously, but it's just that it is a major source of, like, we beat them, we have victory day, this is something that we did, it's that we accomplished this. And I feel like in America, even though we have like Memorial Day and Veterans Day and things of that nature, it really feels like when it comes to the defeat of Hitler relative to our role in it, it's like America kind of goes like, wah, wah. It's like, yeah, that sucked. And, yeah, all those things happened over there. And, but, they know a lot of things, and we want to know a lot of things. And, well, let's just bring a whole bunch of those Nazis over here. What do you say, guys? I mean, what can it hurt? As long as they're not the ones that were dropping bombs on people, we can agree to help them, reinvent our missile program, our defense program, and our entire space program. What do you think, guys? That's a good idea. Well, that's what happened. Just read up. Operation Paperclip. They went to Fort Bliss is the official story, but there's more to it. I've covered another angle. Maybe it was a different project name. I have no idea what was connected to the one that I've researched. I just associate it with Paperclip because it's the closest thing that I can tell you that is their official name for it. if there was an official name for the way they brought in the Nazis into Tule Lake, nobody's talking about it. I haven't found it within my research. But yeah, Tule Lake, Northern California, and Southern Oregon, Merrill, Southern Oregon, is a big pocket of American Nazis. And it's like they just hid there and no one cares. And they took control of the underground and everything. I mean, there's a vast underground cave systems all through that area that I've done some research on. It's pretty amazing. And I think that the thing I've observed, folks, is that when we really talk about who is this, like these dark entities that don't want us to evolve as a culture, like who's holding us back? Who props up a false monetary system knowing that we could have all the resources that we need, folks? I want you to think this through a little bit. Who is really letting this happen when we know they can print money? And money is a fairly illusory concept at this point. I'm going to talk about Dogecoin and all that other things later, because that's going to lead into why money is such a bogus concept. But we know they can effectively now, everything's very perception oriented. So it's really just waving magic wands and saying like, voila, our problems are sort of magically solved. We really just have to be able to motivate people to just do these things or that things or whatever, right? I mean, honestly, guys, I mean, what they did was they kind of proved after a couple of years of almost nearly like a year and a half of shutdown now, that they can kind of print money and that it's all kind of a bogus fictionalized concept. And then it created desperation in financial markets where all these people that normally never would have invested in things like a crypto coin or a cryptocurrency or a Dogecoin or a GameStop stock, they all were like, well, I don't know, everybody else is doing it. I got an app here. It's easy to buy $5 worth. What the hell? And then they see their $5 turn into $50 one day and they feel like they went to a casino, you know? And that's just how the monetary system works. That's how the stock market works. That's how everything that we exist in kind of works, is that at some point in time, it's really a luck of the draw, you know, and we kind of get to the whatever. But we do live in a pretty rigged system. And why? It's simply because that energetically, money controls energy flow. Money controls psychoenergetic flow. Psychoenergetic flow effectively is their way, the controllers, the people that really understand what we produce as human energy. It basically gives them a pathway to motivate us to go places and do things that we normally never would do if this system was not in place, if you really get down to it. And then when you really, and it's not to make our lives easier, guys, because money, if you think about it, it could just be like, guys, how do we, it's like governance, right? When it's simple, it's a great thing. It's a good thing to have a government. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, you know, it's great. We should have a great government. We should be proud of it. Now, what we have right now is a total, oh, so we can't be proud of it. No, we have to fix what we have right now. But I'm telling you that we could have a very simple, small, relatively easily functional government that's way simpler than it is today, and it would actually operate better. I would argue that it seems like almost like they really wanted to over clutter us with things, like they've done everything. I'm not trying to get into a deeper conversation about governance. I want it to be a conversation about psychoenergetics relative to what governance is doing to us compared to what it could do for us. You see, the government should be of the people, for the people, by the people. And what we're working with today, folks, is that we don't really have that. It isn't even of the people, for the people, and it's definitely not by them. We didn't select them. It's not for us. And we're not really involved with what they're doing anymore. They're just telling us to accept it. All right. I'm not saying this to go like, I'm saying no. Those of us who know what the hell we have inside of us, those of us who know how good we are at managing energy, at bioenergetics, and understanding what our biofields can do, we begin to change things by manifesting things into physical reality. What does that look like, and what do I even mean? Because I don't want anybody going, Gabe, are you watching the Mother Earth things a little bit too much? Are you hugging trees again, Gabe? Well, yes, I do hug trees, as a matter of fact, and I'm not going to lie about that. They do need a hug, and it feels pretty good if you hug a tree. don't like go overdo it or anything like that. But yeah, touch a tree. Make sure that they know that you're a nice person and things like that. I do believe in that actually. Trees actually do experience fear signatures, and I've measured them. I've not the fear signatures, but I've measured their energy signatures to know that they actually are living, breathing entities that seem to have some degree. I won't go as far as to say that I believe that they're conscious, but if there's studies to suggest that they emit fear when humans approach, then they have to at least have some degree of consciousness. I think that's hard to argue. And if they're really just a series of like nerve endings, the root structure into the earth resonance, then and all of us are connected to that, and we have similar root structures inside our veins and nerves in ourselves. Then, if you think about it, it's just one harmonic meeting another harmonic within the nerve endings in us, meeting the nerve endings within the root structures of the trees. They're mirrors of one another, and so you know I'm telling you this, folks, because there's all these people that are causing these wars over here. They're representing us, and there is no left or right. I'm putting these people up here in particular because I want you to see what you're looking at here. You're looking at people that are like Democrat. These are the Minnesota DFL. It doesn't get much more Democrat than that, guys. I'm talking like that's seriously left. Okay, right there next to old John McCain. Okay, but here's the I know guys, everybody's like going, but John McCain, he's the Republican that Dems can get along with, right? But didn't we learn our lesson, guys? We thought that about a decade ago, but we learned after a while that no, John McCain's a fraud. Like, not that anybody must have known earlier or whatever like that. I'm not trying to talk smack about the guy since he's dead, but yeah, I mean, he was. Look, let's stop pretending the guy was a real bridge from the left to the right. He just wasn't. Okay, he just wasn't. I'm sorry, man. He's a deep state guy, just like a lot of them. And then you got old Lindsey Graham over here. So you got Lindsey Graham, John McCain, and Amy Klobuchar. Guys, can we just accept that it's all just a big show now? I mean, look, guys, I'm not trying to pick on you Republicans because I think you got a lot of cool things going on, and I think a lot of I want to be nicer to Republicans and conservatives in general because they've been basically, I feel like, in America taking a lot of crap and unnecessarily, and they've been taking on leadership roles in ways that just the Democrats. I'm telling you, as a person that used to do it, we just sort of take it. We just sort of like bend over and just go like, okay, well, what do they think? Okay, that's what I'm supposed to think, right? That's what I'm supposed to think, right? That's what I'm supposed to think, right? Oh well, I don't want to offend them. I can't offend them. What do you think? What do you think, right? It's like we're a lot of us, but we think that we're independently minded, right? We really believe that we've got the truth in our pocket a lot of times. And I just learned after a while that I don't. I did not have the truth in my pocket. I did not really know the complexity of all these issues, even with all the years that I spent with people that were different from me. I spent a lot of times with like rigid conservatives. And I have to tell you, it didn't change my opinions radically. What it did was just humanize me to them to the point where I could listen to them and they could listen to me. And at the end of it, they could be like going, "You're just silly, Gabe, man. I don't know why you think what you do, but I like you and man, let's just have a beer." And we would be like that, but we didn't get angry at each other overall. I really can't think of many times where we got into like aggressive arguments or got angry or like we're sending emails back and forth. And like it just didn't get that way, guys. We got along really well. And what I learned was is that when you approach people that way, you don't really because I wasn't ever really trying to change them, and I didn't get the sense that most of them were trying to change me. We really just started like just to have conversations and discussions, and this is where we began to manifest things into physical reality. Those of us who really get what that means, you you balance you balance your biofields. You look at them as something that you must merge into a collective consciousness in a way where you got to know that if it's all you and you're diminishing that of another, there's something that's going to snap back at you karmically, within that process. It's not going to benefit you ultimately. It's a short-term boost. It's a little bit, it's like I don't know. I'm trying to like find a good, well, it's like anything, it might feel good, that quick boost or whatever, but it won't, much later on. Sugar, drugs, whatever the case might be. That reminds me of a song by Blur called Brothers and Sisters. I felt like singing it, but I wasn't sure how you guys. I might sing it tonight actually because it's a cool song because it talks about what I just said just brilliantly. Um, and it's just about the politics of perception of these things. And you might want to look it up, Brothers and Sisters by Blur, and the way in the lines of it, it's really cool. It's off the album Think Tank. It's one of the ones they did right after Graham Coxon left the band. But yeah, so again, guys, I'm not trying to get here like any sort of left right paradigm things or anything else like that. That's not what I'm doing here. It's mostly just to say that I just want us all to exit that, please. All of us, we should really just start having conversations and say, like, okay, what makes sense? What's reasonable? Let's just stop listening to what the this versus that. The V positions aren't working for us. They're not doing it because they're both wrong and they're both trying to get us into arguing with one another. And then you have to ask yourself where that leads back to. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry if I seem like I'm beating on or I'm pounding on a beaten drum or whatever I forget the phraseology, but if I keep coming back to the same topic, it's because these paperclip Nazis truly have influenced at that level so much policy as gatekeepers. Guys, watch. You really want a lesson into what's going on? A brilliant 1.5 hour comedy lesson, and I promise you, this will transmute what they're doing. But take it very seriously, like you take anything Stanley Kubrick does. Please watch Doctor Strangelove again. If you haven't seen it before, watch it for the first time. Watch it. And if you haven't seen it in a while, or you haven't watched it with this fresh perspective, I'm asking that you do watch it again and think of it less as a comedy and think of it more as very clever disclosure. What if Stanley Kubrick was just explaining to you that what really goes on within how presidents are advised? I want you to think about it. Peter Sellers plays three characters: Mandrake, the president, and the doctor who advises the president, who is obviously a Nazi if you watch the film. There's no question because he keeps repeatedly mistakenly descending into Nazism in a comical way. His character keeps saying like when instead of saying Mr. President, he's like, "Oh yes, my Mr. President." You, if you've ever watched Doctor Strangelove, you'll know what I'm talking about. Peter Sellers is pretty brilliant in it. But towards the end of the movie, when they're facing spoilers, folks, if you've never seen it, cover your ears briefly. When they're facing annihilation potentially, and the Nazi the one with the German accent advisor starts explaining to everybody both on both sides, like, well, we could all just stay underground and just let everything get wiped out above ground from nuclear annihilation. And then, we'll have facilities built underground that could last, 20, 30 years during that fallout. And then when it's safe to go back up, we'll have already populated a couple generations of children that'll be ready to go up there and start our new civilization. And he's saying it, but he's saying it in a way where he's like explaining to the male soldiers, like, you do know that the ratio is going to be about 10-1 and that you are going to be the ones that have to repopulate. And so all these guys in the military are like, what? The civilians. Let's stay down here. Yes. And then we'll have our pick and, absolutely. Yeah. So that's kind of like, you got to understand, like, that Stanley Kubrick was functioning on a whole another level. Brilliant. I don't know why he did what he did or what his motivations were, but I still, after all these years of research, I really can't find anything aside from that some people just disagree with his demeanor on the set and didn't like his psychology or his way of treating people psychologically, which, something I understand why people have that as an issue, but I also get him. That's the best thing I can tell you. I think of him a little bit. Maybe he's like that show House, the doctor, and that abrasive, but nearly everybody who comes into contact with this man will tell you that he touched their life in a way that nobody else could have possibly done. He was absolutely a master at what he did. So I would tell you, like, if you really want a lesson, and it's an hour and a half of comedy, I mean, it really is, but pay attention to what they're telling you, please. There's so many lessons in there. Number one, all of them center around to Peter Sellers' character, the passive president. Yes, Dimitri. Well, I know I'm the president. Yes, Dimitri. Well, how could you be more sorry, Dimitri? You're more sorry than me. Well, that's not fair. I just told you I'm very sorry. How could you be more sorry than me, Dimitri? Very, very passive, just like not taking a stance, like, so what do I do next? And then of course the paperclip Nazi advisor, who they're not telling you is a Nazi, but constantly says, yes, Mr. President, and is always doing sig hails, right? He's constantly always the one telling the president, who really doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, what to do. All right. And then they're always the ones that are basically the secret owners of the missile companies, the defense companies. They have majority stock holdings in them. They're the ones that own the SAIC stock. They're the ones that have all their friends on the payroll. I mean, really, guys. And so they'll lie to us. They'll get us into the war with the same company like SAIC on the same deception like chemical weapons back in Iraq. And then this same group will turn around and just like do it all over to us and say like, oh yeah, 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 that was a big fat lie. Yeah, you didn't know about that? Yeah, yeah, he was lying. Yeah, yeah, we fired him though, don't worry. And then everybody just kind of like moves on from this. You know what's trippy, guys? Like right now, because of just some of like a few things that I've said on here, I would probably have a hard time finding a job in this cancel culture of America. But the guy that lied to get us into the Iraq war to just sort of like boost the stock at Science Applications International Corporation, David Kay, he's still like military advisor, does contracts, media consults with him, he wins awards. Who's really in charge? Yes, Mr. President. Yeah, that's who's in charge. Just guys, like we have to start like catching up to this reality in America that yes, America is a beautiful country. Yes, we have a brilliant military. Yeah, we have, a, at the core, guys, we have a really good basic system within the Constitution. We came up with a really good idea as a country in an imperfect world that had global slavery, global slave trade, gender, all kinds of things going on, guys. Women, genders, everything, all of it. There was inequities everywhere globally. And what we began doing here was elevating the global culture, and other places were doing it too. But can you argue? Can anybody argue that America has been a major hub for doing that? At least they were for a long time. And that we were making so much progress with helping the global culture ascend, I would argue, into this new Atlantis that we could all be as a global society together. We were a part of it, and people wanted to come from all over to be here. They still do. And the Nazis, I think, at their core, have always wanted to destroy that. They know what it is, you ladies and gentlemen. How else can I tell you? I really don't like to come back to them, but they know the new Atlantis is the opposite of what they want. They want us anchored in a physical reality where we're just plucked. I don't like you anymore. Cancel you. You know how many times that's done by Nazis and you don't even know it? You think it's a leftist thing, man. It's like, so what is leftism, guys? It's really a construct of our imaginations. We're way more alike, most of us, than you think. People basically kind of agree, like, we kind of basically agree on what it takes to get around in the world. I honestly, guys, I spend time in the country, in the middle of the sticks, rural places, and I spend times in sometimes in the deepest, most economically deprived city parts of the city and the worst budget hotels you could possibly imagine. I've been around all kinds of people and I've had lots of conversations with all of them. And just this, the one thing that I've learned, guys, is that at the end of the day, the people that are just generally sane and whatever, they're kind of the same all over in what they basically want and what they feel like people should have to do to get there. And so if you're ever worried about like, is their motivations are correct, or are we really going to make things happen if it's this way or that way? It's like I think with most people, yeah, because we're just wired to agree that as a community, we've got to keep this all propped up. We've got to do something. It's what motivates me right now because I keep looking around at people going like, do you guys honestly think that I'm best used like, I don't know, you want me to like deliver pizzas or something like that? Is that what everybody wants me to do? Because I had family members that were like, going, here's what we think you should do. File for disability because you can't work, which that's not even true. I shouldn't have disability. I don't have a disability, so this was like absurd. Like it said, file for Social Security. I don't know what they were implying that I should do, but I'm like, going, why would I do that? I should be working. This country should be working. We should all be doing something because we like to. I like to be productive. I don't know about you. I want to be helping people. I want to be, doing things to really spread this message. I'm not trying to go there right now. The Nazis, though, guys, and I'm telling you because I deal with it from personal experience. I know it from personal experience. It's one of the reasons why I'm experiencing so much crap with my channel right now. It's an attempt to keep me anchored in physical reality while they're just tearing everything down. And I want you to remember, they do have an agenda. This Reich that they discuss, this Third Reich, that a lot of people really don't examine beyond that. It has a name, and Hitler talked about it. It means terraforming America. It means terraforming the world. It means just terraforming things country by country. That just means like they just want to like clear it all out, slash and burn as many places they can go, and to be like, all right, got rid of all this crap. Now let's just do what we want to with this whole bit of raw land here because we can make it whatever we want to now. We've got the technology, and they do. They hide it from us, but yeah, they can turn deserts into oases. Here's the reason why I've been telling people on the sidelines, and I'm going to tell you guys more here. This is going to backfire on them, and I want you to have faith in this, and I want you to even focus and concentrate on it. Those who are taking from us and taking it down below, those who think that they can turn our entire civilization into their toilet effectively up here and then go down into their little Shangri-Las, okay, those particular Shangri-Las are going to get flooded. I'm telling you guys this because I've been getting this as a tip off for a long time. Now, they told me years ago this isn't going to happen overnight. There's fracture points in the tunnel systems that they've interconnected, you guys. And what a lot of people don't get is you need a lot of fresh water and fresh air for these tunnel systems to work. And they're very sophisticated with what they've learned on how to do it. And, so when you might want to study like Yucca Mountain Repository, the failed, not really failed, but abandoned, I should say, nuclear repository project where they're going to take all of our nuclear waste and store it in some deep, dark tunnel system miles underground in Nevada. I would argue, ladies and gentlemen, that was just the premise through which to have a much larger group of construction workers just out there building an enormous state under Nevada. I think that they have tons of things going on underneath there that, here's the thing, guys. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. I'm not wishing any negativity on anybody down there or anybody that's doing the right things, but here's going to be my warning. If you're not doing the right thing, the way this is going to work, it's nearly psychoenergetic in the way, I guess you could say, the God frequency is going to work. It's really going to preserve the innocent, and it's going to flood out the ones that are doing things that are malevolent. It's mostly because of the way psychoenergetics is going to follow the pathway of the water. It's hard to explain, you guys, but water really does follow love as an energy. It's difficult to express, or not express, but express properly without sounding a little bit like Gaia Mother Earth. But yeah, water follows love. And when you try to harness it, when you try to dam it up, when you try to abuse it or use it in ways that are against nature and against nature's harmonic, there's a reflex, there's a reaction factor to it that's going to snap back on those who consciously do it and are conscious and aware of what they're doing. You can have faith that this is going to happen, and that one of the end results in this is going to mean new land for everyone else. And it's going to mean that places that normally were completely just absolute dry and there was nothing going on out there, they're now going to have something going on. They're going to have farms out there that are actually going to grow something. They're going to be, the weather is going to balance out a little bit more in some of those regions, and it will happen in places like Nevada. It will happen in some of the deserts in the Middle East. So that's going to be the end result, folks. It's just going to balance things. It's going to be happening in Africa. There's going to be places that are going to be greener. There's just points where the water is harnessed underneath, and there's tons of kinetic energy. And you're gonna, like, dowsers are going to be able to locate these areas, guys. I mean, you're going to know kind of where the kinetic energy is, and you're going to feel it a little bit. And there's something that's brewing underneath because of the reason why is because of all the tunnels they've drilled. It's because of all the underground cities they've drilled. And it's creating kinetic energy flow when they try to put in all these waterways to get to different spots. They have brilliant engineers, but nature's nature. And Mother Nature was not designed to have all these different tunnels and everything else like that all drilled in these different spots where there was supposed to be other materials. It just creates imbalances. It makes the basketball a little bit flat. So when you try to pass it, it goes instead of nice clean pass from back to forth, right? So yeah, it's pretty biblical, isn't it? I mean, honestly, this is one of the reasons why lately I've really found a lot of I personally, I don't know what it is. I feel like there's a lot of science to back up the Bible, and I feel more and more, and I always did even before I had any sort of stronger connection to it. I always felt, not always, but I would say as I got smarter about reviewing things, maybe about a decade ago, I became more hip to that the Bible really is an esoteric book, and but I took a different perspective on it, and that I just thought it was like more like, yeah, it was probably just something written by some pagans to trick everybody, you know, that kind of thing, But no, not anymore. I really do think that it's actually talking about something that's both historical, but also that, how do I say it, guys? I really feel like we exist in cycles of repetition where whatever goes on in the Bible, it does happen again. So when they talk about the resurrection of Christ, they really just mean to you that this whole cycle is going to happen all over again. And it's just going to be in a slightly different harmonic. So when you really read the Bible, take a look at the archangel system, and maybe like the Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. I know there's like a ton of other archangels that go down that list. So I apologize because I'm only focused on my name. I don't mean to be that way. But yeah, there's something to that. Yeah, Lisa, I agree that the Bible is. Lisa says she thinks the Bible is DNA codes, medicine, and weapons. Yeah, I agree. I think that there's things that are going on within the Bible that are definitely discussing bloodlines and genetics, or things involving like how we truly vibrate into frequency. I think the whole Genesis story, everything involving the way the snake coils around, and all of it, guys. If you really get down to it, it's just it's creative ways of discussing bioenergetic science and how we bring plasma and vibrate into physical reality through choices we make. It's psychoenergetic in nature. It really is like this polarization of positive, negative, creating these different cycles. And then what exists between these positive, negative charges is something in between, which keeps things, I guess you could say, static. A little bit like that KRS-One speech. And then what keeps it static is what we exist in here as physical reality. So, like you said, we don't float around and talk to chairs, and chairs don't talk to us. I like that he said that, because I think that's a really, those who don't know what I'm talking about, KRS-One, if you do a search on KRS-ONE, he has this whole thing he does about Freemasons and Illuminati, because somebody in the audience says, hey, I heard you're a Freemason. Can you talk about that? And he goes, sure, I'll talk about it. So he does this whole 12-minute speech about what are these things? What do you focus on? What are you concentrating on? And the reason why the Illuminati is what they are, even though they're not even a thing, they're like these three different groups that people are claiming, and they're all different. And they all want you to believe that they're the one, but none of them are really a thing. And none of them really existed to begin with, except that they got you to believe it. So who are you? He's like, the Illuminati is who they are because they know their purpose. Who are you? See, this is he's encouraging people the same way that I'm trying to both encourage myself and others. Let us focus on what we are trying to bring into physical reality, instead of letting them tell us what physical reality is constantly and then ruminating on it. Because the whole point of that exercise is to get us to do the same thing for them. Then we just bring it into stronger resonance when it's already been put in place here by them and the others that haven't figured it out like us. Those of us who know what this is, we've got to keep each other sharp. We've got to keep each other focused, and we've got to figure this out. And we've got to learn how to get this information to others, and how to make more people who have what we have really responsible for their thoughts. And honestly, I just would like a seat at the table with those people that have the most influence, quite frankly, all people I care about. But yeah, I mean, I want to make sure that whatever I've got going on is balanced against them. That's all. Not to dominate or to make them think like me. See, I think if you ask anybody that I do seek to balance, that's really what I look for. And I think it's because it's in my DNA. I have such a strange mixture of all these different things that I just balance. I feel the DNA. I want all of these different groups to simultaneously have their win. I genuinely do. And I'm always trying to find a way to make that work the best that I can. And I don't want anybody to suffer. And if anybody feels differently about me, then please tell me what what that is. Actually, maybe not, because I'm not sure I care. But I mean, I do and I don't. Usually when I get criticisms like that, they're not legit. So I stopped. I stopped caring somewhat. But yeah, if I have a reason to, I do. If somebody ever sets me aside and says whatever, I definitely will go. Okay, thank you for sharing that with me. I'll listen to you. Yeah. The row your boat thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny you said that actually, because Karis one says that. He's like, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. Now he says if you can comprehend what he just said, then you'll know the secret. That's a Freemasonic lore. That's like something that they have as a song that tells you a secret, that tells you a clue. And they do things like that to integrate secrets. And so that's why I try to find this nice, happy balance where I go, guys, don't you understand how, like, right now, with what we're dealing with currently, that if you learned what Freemasons did, you would be way safer. I would be too. I don't worry about my safety overall, actually. I'm not too concerned about that. What I mean to say though is I would be less on the radar for having the malicious actions like slowing down things for me or whatever, right? If I learned what they know how to do as far as the secret communication and I did it. I just can't stand communicating that way. I have to speak straightforward and openly, but I totally get what they're doing. I understand their use of puns and corruption of language when they're doing it for the good reasons and the bad reasons. All right. And so I took that down because I'm going to put it back up actually. But why am I talking about everything as far as like trying to stay within physical reality? And I don't mean to do this to get us back into something in my universe or whatever, guys. Oh, sorry. Willow asked if I know anything about the Vatican telescope in Safford. I don't. I'm sorry, I just saw that. But I wanted you to kind of get a better understanding of why I feel so strong now about bringing this whole idea about the Operation Paperclip Nazis and what happened in America and over there in Russia, like how the Russians are proud of defeating the Nazis, and that we kind of sit here and it's like a non-issue over here practically. Like we don't discuss it that much, and there's not a lot of like country pride surrounding it. Not similarly to them, they went through something different, so I get it. Yet I don't know. I feel like we would benefit from having a little more pride about taking part in that defeat. And I don't know, but did we? I guess that's the big question mark. Or did we have some clever people who just brought them over here, and then that's why we're going through Cold War 2.0? And I would like to see us benefit personally from the innovations that like Carillion photography that they have. And I would like to see us in greater partnership because I really, here's the thing I'm going to tell you, folks. You don't really want to be in a conflict with a country that has mastered energetic science. I'm just going to be blunt. I don't care if they've done it maliciously or positively or whatever. If America doesn't have similar knowledge, then, even if you do, in fact, here's what I would argue. If America had similar bioenergetic knowledge, they would not want to start shit. And I would argue that those in the military that do understand energetics probably don't want a conflict with Russia. I don't think most of them do, anyways. There's always the war hawks here and there, But I think that drum's being pounded by these Operation Paperclip Nazis here in America, and that's why they're supporting this like Ukrainian border thing so aggressively. So I'm afraid of playing that clip for Ukraine that I had up there, so I don't want to do that. This one here. So I think what I'll do really quick is I just wanted to kind of show you here. This is effectively in a still. That's basically just Lindsey Graham telling, the Ukrainian army that, hey, you'll get the full support of us and, whatever you need and we'll take care of you guys. I mean, it's a little bit disturbing how much they're kind of committing of American resources to just, again, a conflict between Russia and Ukraine. I don't know what would motivate some of our politicians to go over there and make such a commitment to them relative to something going on with Russia and saying you'll get everything you need, you'll get all your support. And these are all Ukrainian soldiers. And this lady right here, that's Democrat Amy Klobuchar. That's Minnesota DFL Klobuchar. See, so that's why I'm telling you guys, like, let's all start like stop thinking about left versus right, and let's stop thinking about Republican versus Democrat, and just think a little bit more about Operation Paperclip. And the sooner we do that, the better off we'll all be. We'll fix more problems in our country. I would say that the more people that really start to intelligently trace the routes of that program, all of it, not just half of it or a part of it, all of it, that, yeah, you've got to learn. I'm not saying put everybody under suspicion, guys, but you got to know which ones have loyalties to Nazism. To this day, some of them do. Okay. So here's the thing. Hang on really quick. I'm going to show you why I have an issue myself with this whole Russia thing, just as full disclosure. I'm going to play you a quick 6-minute long article. I don't want to stay excessively on this topic. I'll just give you guys a quick brief as a full disclosure thing. It's just because I have an aunt that married in through my uncle that was in the DOJ. And so that's just one of the reasons why I personally have some challenges with this, I think, guys, and why sometimes I go through some issues that others may not. So I have it in this article here, and I'll just play it for you really quick here. It's only about 5 minutes long. I need a quick break to go take care of something really fast. And I'm going to play this video here. Yeah, I don't unplug this. Hang on really quick.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Just wanted to talk about some of the things that have been going on in the media lately with Russia. There's been a lot of disinformation kind of running around. And all right, so just full disclosure, guys, I did this 3 years ago, okay, when I was discovering that I had family members that actually were close to conflicts with some Russians. And I didn't know this before then, okay? I had no clue. I literally was just trying to learn more about some things going on internally within my family, and I found this information that one of my relatives is blacklisted from Russia. So it's just a thing I got to tell you about. I do have that going on in my family, but it's not somebody that I'm terribly close to. It's an uncle of mine, and this is a person that married in that's blacklisted. So he's not the one, but the woman that he married is. So anyways. It's kind of made me disgusted with the mainstream media personally. I can't really watch it anymore, and I've kind of abandoned RT America and other news outlets because I've just noticed similar patterns to the way information is spread in the United States, and but more importantly, misinformation. So I wanted to focus a little bit on this story about a gentleman that was from Russia that was convicted of, I guess, credit card theft and credit card number theft and cybercrime. And as a result of this case, the man's name was, let's see here. Sorry about this, folks. His name was Seleznev, and Roman Seleznev. And when this happened, the response after the Department of Justice did this was that Russia responded by blacklisting some U.S. Department of Justice officials by the names of Ethan Ray Aronson, Catherine Worma, Norman Barbosa, and Charles Seth Wilkinson. Full disclosure, I do know one of these people in my experience, so I just wanted to be open about that. Because really what I'd like to do here is because I do have an affection for Russia, and I do care about our country also. And I do know that it's in the best interests of our country to get along with Russia and to have a harmonious relationship with the rest of the world. So if I see something that may have involved, maybe somebody potentially that I'm close to where I can maybe respond as a mediator, I want to make sure that I do that. So just trying to be fair to Russia here and just trying to help our country understand what I'm trying to do here is a little bit just to play. I'm not going to say, well, I'm just trying to say, let's look at it from their perspective. What would they be thinking if they saw some of the data that I found? Okay. So in reviewing what was going on here, I found a company called ProAct. And what ProAct does is crisis assault actor training or crisis actor training. So if you're not familiar with what that is, a crisis actor is basically a person that will be like in emergency situations. They're there to sort of, pretend to be one of the victims or whatever, and play along with the ambulances and everything like that, so they can do like a simulation. Okay, and so I kind of noticed that, that same last name of the person that I know was attached to some of these companies, and so I started saying, how would Russia perceive what was going on with our mainstream media right now, knowing that there were connections to the Department of Justice, this person's name, and a company that trains actors, to do scenarios and, mimic things in public. And so, I just wanted to offer that out there to people on all sides, let them know that, if I can be a mediator in this and have a discussion with people on all sides to maybe, find out what's going on here a little bit to see if there's some concerns that need to be addressed so that we can have a good relationship again. I think that would be very valuable. I think it would also help smooth over the relationship between, the media, our president, because, I may not agree with Trump and I don't really necessarily like his policies and things like that. But the one thing I do respect is he's trying to have a good relationship with Russia. And I think that there may be some things going on with the mainstream media that are trying to prevent that from happening. So really all I'm trying to do is just try to get everybody to kind of put down their swords a little bit, because some people are very skilled at disinformation and some people are very wealthy. Some people have a lot of exploits into certain groups and can manipulate perceptions from afar. And so I just want to make sure that we're being fair to everybody in all these scenarios and we're addressing these problems appropriately. So so as I was, researching that, I kind of track them down to California. And so I just wanted to be open about that too, folks, because I do know a lot of people that view this material are aware of me and, people that I know and that are connected to my family. So I just want to be transparent with folks and make sure that they understand that I'm not trying to, conceal anything, but at the same time, I'm also trying to respect it. People have to live their lives too. So, but since these are all things that are offered as public services and publicly available businesses and everything like that, I'm not advertising here. I'm not trying to promote any of these services. I'm not going to tell you that they're good or bad. I'm just trying to say that if you are Russia and you are viewing all the names attached to this case from the outside, knowing what you know about some of the things that I've discussed up until now, especially involving wordplay, you might be concerned if you are Russia, and you might be concerned rightfully, I think. So this is really just to say that I would like to be a mediator in any discussion and maybe help bridge the gap informationally between these groups. And if I can do that, I would like to.
Hang on. I got to make sure it doesn't play the next clip. All right, cool. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get some food in my stomach in between the videos, so forgive me if I still have some in my teeth. Try not to. I'm embarrassed now. That happened too soon. I need more time. I was so hungry. Haven't had anything since this morning, so all right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is super relevant to right now, guys. Just so you know, because there's a lot of things going on right now geopolitically that a lot of times we're only being fed a couple different narratives on the television, and none of them really cover this. And that's all I ever ask people to do is just take a larger, a larger look at things like Paperclip. Um, I have some slides that I've done that I can give you some links to also that help people. I have one that I did that's just like a Operation Paperclip 101 where I integrate some slides from, let's see here. I think most of these I got from either Wikipedia or somewhere else like that. Maybe a couple of them came from Annie Jacobson's website because she did a paperclip book too. Not two. I mean, I haven't done one, but I've done a lot of paperclip material. But yeah, I would say she's probably done a lot of the more recent material on paperclip as a journalist and researcher. And so a lot of times when you find like these types, oh, sorry, you can't see what I'm saying. Hang on. Come on. Where is it? There it is. Okay. So I make these slides like this. I make these big old slides like this, and then they're just things for like, I make these for people. I want to have like a website where I put a whole bunch of them like this because I churn these out pretty quickly. And they're just quick, like meme-esque, not really meme, I guess, but just, excuse me, they tap into like cultural things that a lot of people have seen or understand to bridge understanding between one thing to another. So I can say, okay, guys, since it doesn't ever tell us anything in the history book, and most people have no clue that we brought in a whole bunch of Nazis, or they have a very limited understanding of that. Here's a slide where I can just like walk you through the whole thing, and you can just, go through the key points of it. And it's pretty high resolution, my slides. And the whole thing up there, this is just the clip from Wikipedia where it explains the whole thing. They brought in Werner von Braun. It was during the Cold War. They got all the rockets going. So this is just things you guys have to understand to know why this group of people they brought in, guys. What I'm telling you is this group here weren't just any people. These people hate the Russians. Okay, I repeat. Please, folks, please remember. These people, these rocket scientists, came from a culture that hates Russians. And they're pretty bitter. Why am I in America? Those damn Russians. Any of these Nazis that did not want to be in America, they're there because of the Russians. And they're pretty lucky because if they'd gone to Russia, they probably would have been in a prison. When they got to America, the Nazis, they were given nice cushy positions at Fort Bliss and kind of watched, I guess, but overall they were protected. That's the thing that we did wrong, really. They should have been treated more like prisoners. And instead they rolled out the red carpet and said, like, you guys, I know, you didn't really mean it, right? You didn't mean all that Hitler pro-Nazi thing, right? Like, you guys didn't really like the swastikas, and like, you didn't like really, come on. Yep. Just say it. No, we did not like Hitler, mein Führer. It's like, it's a little bit like that thing in Dr. Strangelove, guys. I mean, the loyalty's there, the loyalty to Nazism is there. Like, why would you think that these people came over here and were just like immediately like going, oh yeah, this is going to be great. I can't wait to hang out with all you Americans. No, they came over here and they were like going, I hate these fucking Americans. And then the first thing that they did was, hey, what's the best way to get rid of these assholes that have us captive here in America and the people that helped get us here? A Cold War. They hate the Russians, you guys. These people that invented our rockets, that invented our missiles, they hate the Russians. Just remember this over and over again. And we've got generations of these Russian-hating, generations of rocket scientists and their children many that get in the media, many that wind up in corporate structures that are just like going, whatever daddy says, whatever mommy says, and they were Nazis. They didn't let go, guys. They just hid. They did not, go like, something. I mean, some did, I'm sure, guys. Some of them integrated. Of course, guys, people have changes of heart. Not everybody's that freaking heartless. You got to know some people actually do change. It does happen from time to time. And then their kids change. And so you can't judge them all the same. Yet, with this lot, they don't really have a bright history, guys. It was pretty dark. I mean, these are ugly behaviors some of these people had. And they always try to tell you, like, yeah, but they didn't do those things. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. All right. I have to tell you something. I think the Nazis are just generally people that lack the creative spark, and they have to get it from somebody else. And I mean that quite literally. There's something about whatever it is that gives them their knowledge set and their wisdom, wherever they tap it into from, that is not the same as with other people in society. A genuine Nazi, I would argue, is into black sun worship. There's something about the way that they perceive reality at an occult level where they look at everybody like we're all fools for thinking there's a sunshine out. We're all fools for thinking there's daylight. We're all fools for thinking this is anything but a big black pit that they are bending into our physical reality. And I got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. As long as you don't get that you're sort of letting that exact thing happen, you are. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not to lecture you. We all do it. So we have to learn the art of what they've done and reverse it on them. We've got to flip it all on them. We got to get that whole ecosystem just sort of shut down. And it starts by acknowledging that we have pockets in America, and it's not un-American to say it. It is absolutely a pro-American thing to point out that some of these people don't care about America, and they want to see us at war. And guys, if you don't get that a bunch of these Nazi rocket scientists had generation of kids that went on to also be a lot of Nazis too, and that their job today is to go like, hey, I heard that the Russians are trying to kill American soldiers. I heard that they're trying to do that. Says, yeah, my name's Charlie Savage. You can trust me. Yeah, guys, trust Charlie Savage. Yeah. You guy that wrote the article about Russia. I mean, why not go by the name Charles? Burn, char, lie. Yeah, lies. Look up the guy who wrote the big press article that stewed that whole thing going, guys. He allegedly had anonymous sources at the Pentagon, all unsubstantiated. One Mockingbird reporter trying to get a global war started and just thinks nothing of it. That's not responsible, guys. That's criminal. But see what happens, guys? Think about what I just said to you. What a slippery slope that is in America. Yet that's our system now. A person like me that'll actually report to you what happened, they'll censor the hell out of me and cancel my other channel or suspend it to death, practically. But lies are accepted as our daily news cycle. They'll just print them ad nauseum because these are the people bringing it to you, and their kids and their kids' kids. I hate to break it to you guys. They really did. Who launched the satellites that bring you your television? Ladies and gentlemen, who launched the satellites that bring you your television? Where are you getting your information from? Where are you getting your entire perception of reality from? This is why those of us who figured out the game must understand that we have to remove the power from these people by just not letting them vibrate into physical reality. We have to be stronger. We have to be better. We have to be sharper. And we have to work at defeating this. Defeating Nazism is way easier than you think. It's about not letting them vibrate their reality into ours. That means not letting them have us focus on their terms all day and night and all their nonsense and their garbage. That's why I put Inglourious Bastards as a fictional movie. Yes. However, the U.S. did in fact do something very similar with Operation Paperclip. Not unlike what Colonel Hans Landa did, the Nazis negotiated a surrender that turned out to be anything but. Since they arrived, they've quietly taken over the infrastructure and now have our telecom, internet, energy departments under paperclip Nazi family rule. That means NASA. That means also, guys, I mean, I don't even talk about space program in here, but that's the obvious. The space program, anything involving missiles, and they involving launching things into the sky. And they even see there, guys, that's one of the most notorious ones, surrendering to the Americans, allegedly. This guy here is Walter Schreiber. He was known for doing horrible experiments on children, even lethal and phenol injections, some ice pick experiments. And I put Werner von Braun as buildings named after him. His fellow Nazi collaborators had their records cleansed as if they helped the U.S. defeat the Nazis, but not really. They tricked the U.S. into inviting the enemy, then took over. And as you can see here in the United States, we have the Von Braun Center, known as the Von Braun Civic Center. Until 1997, was a multi-purpose indoor arena, meeting and performance art complex with a maximum seating arena capacity of 10,000, located in Huntsville, Alabama. The original facility, debuted in 1975, has undergone several significant expansions since opening. So this place is still open. It's called the Werner von Braun Center. The Von Braun Center is named after a Nazi SS, and it's a huge arena where they hold concerts and everything. So yeah, guys, literally, there may be some artist that goes to. Can you imagine, guys? I mean, like, I don't know, like who's like a Jewish singer? Like, would they go and sing a performance at the Von Braun Center in Huntsville, Alabama? I wonder. I mean, has this ever come up? Did anybody ever like mention this? This is why I'm like, when like, what the? But there's always like this whitewashed excuses to what happens. Like, you know, like people just like go, yeah, you know, no, guys, don't stop saying yeah, but like, no, we can't. Yeah, but not on this one. No, stop it. At some point, we have to kind of go like, no, this is some bullshit. You know, like, we can't let this happen, guys. You know, we got to be smarter than this. We got to be better than this. And we are smarter. We are better than this. This isn't us. So that's why I'm saying, who's pushing Cold War 2.0? Well, the same people that pushed Cold War 1.0 effectively, you know? Yeah, folks, I think really what it boils down to is that energetics is really how do I explain it? Energetics is pretty much like the final frontier as far as weaponry goes. It's what Tesla talked about, all those Tesla guns. What was it? Tesla had this like thing like the death ray or something like that he had. All of that is energetics. Everything that was on his little secret echelon of weaponry, you could classify as psychoenergetic or bioenergetic weaponry. And that's why I think he talked often about how he had something that he had designed, his death ray, that he actually wanted to give every major superpower in America, like America included. He wanted all of them to have it. That way, he said, if they all had it, they would all know that they can't use it on each other. That makes sense to me. One thing affects the other. Really getting pounded with some dues out here, man. I'm sorry. It's like really hitting my back. I apologize. Hang on. All right. I need to put on, let's see here. I'm trying to think of all right, guys. Yeah, I think this is relevant because this is where I really started to figure out that we had Nazi families here in America that had heavy infiltration, that they were close to me. Like I actually kind of knew about this. So I'm going to do another article that's less about the politics of it, but I kind of need people to understand the ecosystem behind, like, how do these cults work that are of the Nazi nature in America? What is their cover and how are they hiding? Because most people don't really know how they're doing it. They expect them to be like you see in the movies. They're wearing swastikas. They're rigid. They're like, no, I have very strict standards. Guys, American Nazis aren't like that. They act like liberals. I hate to break it to you. I'm sorry, guys. I was raised in this culture of progressive liberalism. I lived in Washington, D.C. My father served under a Democrat, Senator Warren Magnuson of Seattle. That's why I lived in Washington, D.C. as a kid, is because my father was a fellow. And we got to see all of it. We got to go into all the houses of governance. We went to the Smithsonian Institute. We went to the Washington Monument. We saw everything. We have pictures of all of it, and all of us kids on all these things. In fact, I even have some of them with me right now. If I take a break here, I might come back and find you some of them and show you some of the pictures of us in DC if I can get a couple of them up. But yeah, I mean, I know about these things, guys, and that's why I had to just say I have to put it aside. I can't care anymore. And I want you not to care either. I need to all this exit the left-right paradigm and just get along and find what makes sense. Let's just examine things case by case and not get swept up into groupthink and group mentality, because it's doing horrible damage. I see people repeating such disinformation on social media that is so harmful. They repeat things that completely misconstrue events that don't even speak. I mean, guys, it's not even the surface truth at all. And they just say it over and over again. People I respect. People that I respect that taught me how to never do that. People that taught me how to have a sharper mind. I'm witnessing on Twitter now, in their elder years, some cases, they're actually repeating this nonsense that I know that 20, 30 years ago, or even like 5 or 10 years ago, they never would have said crap like this. So I'm wondering what's going on right now. So psychoenergetics is one thing. So I need to talk deeper about what psychoenergetic weaponry is at another time, maybe not tonight. I don't know. But yeah, it operates on your brain. You don't always know that it's happening to you. It's very difficult to know. You'll feel the physical symptoms many cases because it feels like your entire plasma field is being drained like a sponge. And psychoenergetically, it just creates polarities in your life. It just creates challenges. And it's a little bit difficult to pinpoint until you see the patterns. You just start noticing the exact 180 polarity of things operating the way they should. And it's very precise. It's calculable nearly. Something that should have happened one way, you can nearly like draw the line, the exact number of feet and 180 degrees precisely. You got the outcome that was the exact opposite. It is so precisely calculated sometimes. The ridiculousness of it. So let me put on this this clip where I talk about kind of like hippie cults as cover, and then it's going to get into that connection to deceiving both America as a front to us, where they pretend to be like liberals and hippies and like, yeah, I'm singing a song in banjo. You want a flower, man? Gaia, Mother Earth, man. Hey, you should come back to our bus, man. We're going to be doing some cool tunes and everything and having some like, some soy milkshakes, bruh. Okay, that's kind of Nazi liberalism, guys. Like those who adopt it, you're adopting a fake form of it. I'm just letting you know. Like that's really, they're just getting you into their culture so they can decide what they popularize with you. And then you start eating all their crappy foods and the things that they tell you are good for you, but are actually garbage for you. They're really good at it, guys. That's why you got to be way, hey, we're probably at odds opinion wise now, but Chuck D of Public Enemy, one of the best lines he says in one of his songs, he says in Night Train, he says, beware of the hand when it's coming from the left. I'm not tripping. Just watch your step. No, can't touch this. Can't touch it. Can't trust it. That's the song. I'm sorry, dude. I can't believe I screwed that up. Can't trust it. Beware of the hand when it's coming from the left. I'm not tripping. Just watch your step. Can't trust it. Beware of the hand when it's coming from the left. I'm not tripping. Just watch your step. Can't trust it. Now, he didn't say trust the right. He was just letting people know, like, hey, man, I know they were like walking up to you and going like, hey, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to handle all your needs. Just trust me, man. Hey, those guys over there are bad. See them, they're bad. They're bad. I'll take care of you. And he's like, no, man. They're all playing a game with your mind. They're all playing a game with your perceptions. And then drill past that for his community, and you can just apply it to all of us, guys. These Nazis, they don't discriminate. You're either one of them and you know what they're doing and you join them, or you don't. And if you're not joining them, you're not one of them, and they don't care about you. So just accept it and know that we're all in a larger global community than you realize, especially here in America. The American community is way bigger and more in agreement than you realize. Just know that. And you're all together in the sense that you're being manipulated by the same little group of Nazis. And they're all just snickering, like going, they think we're Republican. They think we're conservative and love Christians and Bibles and things like that. We're such occultists. We don't care about anything these Republicans like. And they're laughing at you. And then the Democrats and everything like that, they're like, oh yeah, they think we're all about their soy milkshakes and their vitamins and everything else like that. And their stupid like music and everything like that. We're just trying to corrupt it all and make them all toxify and poison themselves. See, they're doing it to both of you. Like, they hate you. They're just toxic, hateful people that want to poison everything and everyone. Just like, once you get it, then it's like, never accept any of their information, because it's always trying to push you into an argument with someone else that makes you look where? Away from them. Once you know that that's always the game, it's like, me? Couldn't possibly be. There's no like any sort of self-deprecation at all. No sense of like humility at all. It couldn't be me. No, no, no. It's got to be them over there. Russia did it. Russia did it. China did it. My teddy bear. Yeah, yeah. Let's go to war. It says teddy bear. Yeah, bomb it now. I don't care what the collateral damage is. Bomb this teddy bear. I'm sorry about this entire neighborhood, man, but that was one dangerous teddy bear. And if we didn't drop that mortar, I don't know. That's the Nazis in a nutshell. It's what they're doing to us. It's what they're doing to everyone else. So we have to hold them accountable here in America, and we've got to identify the way they do it here in America. And our global partners have to find the Nazis in the pockets over there, because they're everywhere, guys, and they're multi-ethnic. Stop even thinking that they're these steely-eyed, blue-eyed white people either, guys. That's such a misnomer. That's so untrue. Nazis are multi-ethnic. Remember that. It's true, guys. I'm sorry. And I really hate to break it to people, because to a person that thinks that they're all white, you're going to just buy into that deception. The left and those fake like Antifa people are out there promoting like, when you're a white supremacist Nazi. Okay, guys, white supremacy and Nazism are not synonymous, as much as they want you to believe that. True Nazism, that is a bunch of shit. They are creating a master race that is ideological. And they know who believes and who doesn't. So when you do, you're one of them. When you don't, you are not. Most of you don't believe, I would think. Don't believe. So you're not one of them. So learn their methods, and that's what the next two stories are about, and I'll be back soon. Hey, everybody. Okay, I'm going to try to handle this as delicately as I can. But basically, I was looking into the Love family a little bit more, and I keep finding more material involving their connections, involving real estate, wineries, vineyards, access to cave systems, their proximity to Nike missile silos. And in particular, out in Arlington, Washington, there's an article that I think it was in Seattle Times, but I have a clipping from it. But basically talks about how this family's been broke for a long time, and that, they lost all their fortune. They had to split up everything and move to all these different parts. But I don't know how true that is. Just that as I'm kind of looking into things and where some of my research involving some of these families are, and realizing that I had some people from Love family that lived near me or were in the neighborhood where my grandfather lived, or lived next to us on the farm that I lived. I mean, really, there was a lot of them. And they never told me that they were part of this group, and I wasn't ever part of that group. So since I can kind of identify the people a little bit from personal experience, I have to start asking questions. And I'm asking this honestly, and I'm trying to be respectful here, because, in my history, I studied World War II and the effect that the Germans had on the Jewish community. And that part of our history really affected me. And I studied it for a long time when I was younger. So when I find evidence potentially, well, let me put it this way: when I find this kind of the markers of things that might involve the mockery of Judaism and things like that, I have to ask a question: is that happening? Or is it just that somebody doesn't understand that maybe perhaps what they're doing might be considered disrespectful to Jewish people? Or is me even asking this question disrespectful to Jewish people? I don't know. So, I'm asking. But basically, as I was kind of looking into their properties and things like that, it was purely because of the proximity to cave systems and tunnels and telecommunication things is why that I found them connected to this organization called the Union for Reform Judaism. And so I kind of looked into that, and it had some interesting markers on it. It's said it was founded by Isaac Mayer Weiss. When I looked at the photo of Isaac Mayer Weiss, I kind of noticed that he looks like other characters that I find in other lore that doesn't seem entirely true, connected to other articles. And I'll get into that soon, because there's some companies out there and some organizations where I'm finding a commonality into the lore, which makes me think that there might be some people making up history and adding some things to Wikipedia that aren't true, which is something that I think most people kind of know and suspect already. And so I guess I'm just asking respectfully, is what's going on here, is this something that's kind of like, did you actually, because the Love family, they actually would take on the last name Israel. And they said the reason why they did that wasn't because of the country or the religion. They said they were doing it because love is real. They were making a pun. It was like they were expressing that. So that's my understanding of it. And so if that's what they were doing, then it seems to me like they weren't becoming Jewish. They were actually just using it as a play on words, but I might be misunderstanding that. So when I find that at the Love family compound in Arlington, there's an address connected to the Union for Reform Judaism connected to them, I have to ask myself, if they're not like Jewish, then why would they be running a Jewish organization? Or even if they're people that converted to Judaism, I'm asking the Jewish community or people who might be like, part of those churches and deeper philosophical leaders, would it be appropriate for them to be running an organization to reform it? And I guess that people, whether they join a religion or they're part of it when they're born, they're still going to be reformers in all regards. But I'm just asking the question here to see if, is this something that, we should be concerned about? Is it a form of like Discordianism where somebody's just sort of using this as a parable, a drama to play out in front of people to teach them a lesson? Or are we dealing with something where it's more of like the law of reversal? Because if it's something that's more related to these Nazi occult groups, then what they would be seeking to do, this isn't big if, I'm not saying that's what they're doing here, but what a Nazi group would be doing would be to join a religion or to represent themselves as the religion and then subvert it from within using the concept of the law of reversal, where they basically join it, mirror everything, pretend to be it, and then they completely change the meaning of it in a very precise mathematical fashion. When I'm saying mathematical, I mean that by angles and everything. They take it in a complete opposite direction. And there's a precision to it that involves their form of occultism, which is sort of like a form of witchcraft. So if you've ever seen like pentagrams and triangles thrown together with weird sigils and symbols, that means something to them, and it's sort of a map to their esoteric work when they are occultists. So since the Love family does seem to integrate forms of occultism into what they do, and there has been tracers of OTO and Golden Dawn, I'm just asking the question, are we dealing with Discordianism? Are we dealing with of a benevolent source? Or are we dealing with mockery of a Nazi occult type? And I'm asking this respectfully on all sides. And if there's a reason why they run this organization, or maybe that it's been mistagged to them or something like that, and I'm not correct, please tell me, and I'll correct this. But I'm just trying to understand what might be going on with this organization when it comes to this specific issue, only because even as a non-Jewish person, I just want to make sure that, we're all being respectful of one another's faith, regardless if somebody's different than us. And since I have had some of these people that have been close to me historically, I just want people to know that, I might even be a good person to have a conversation with both sides, if something disrespectful is happening. I'm not going to tell you that I know these people today. It's just that I do seem to have had a history with them. And actually, I don't necessarily know them today, but I can tell you that there's definitely markers to indicate that I have people from the Love family that stay very close within proximity to me, because they seem to be connected to members of my family. So just by virtue of that, I want to be open with people and tell you that that's a thing. But no, I don't seek out or have personal connections with them as a cult. So just full disclosure there. And yeah, so just wanted to ask the question, and hope I'm not being disrespectful to anybody here. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, folks. So really quickly before I get into this next article, that's one of the reasons why sometimes I'm a bit cynical with who I allow into my life or my perception. I've learned about brute force weaponized energetics and psychoenergetics by being surrounded by people that have Nazi values. That's the clearest way I can explain it to you. If I seem a little bit rigid sometimes, it's because the minute I identify the signs that it's this cult, I get the hell away. The cult doesn't identify as the Love Family cult anymore. They call themselves all kinds of other things, and they're blending into every single group. And I, just being straight up with you guys, I try to get away from this group over and over again. And they repeatedly place themselves back into my life and pretend that they're not who they are. It's them. I know their genetics. It's a little bit like they're sitting here like, well, it's not us. It's not us. It's like, yeah, but I know all your families. Like, I know what you look like. I know what your speech impediments are, or your patterns are, your cadences are, or the physical characteristics of you. It's like, why do you keep approaching me as whatever, or different whatever tribes of the same group of people, acting like I'm not going to figure out who you are? And I know it sounds a little strange, guys, but it really is. They were just raised in these cults that have heavy Hollywood connections. And so what I learned about them is they actually get government contracts. And my guess is, and I think it's based more than just speculation, but I haven't found like the smoking gun document that supports this, is that their contracts with the government are largely with the FBI and the DOJ, and that their cover is this exact thing. Gaia, Mother Earth, hey, kumbaya, man. Yeah, let's have some like seed and flax and things like that, like hang out, you know? Want a flower? You want a flower? You want a flower, don't you? They have a form of liberalism that you're never comfortable with. You'll know them right away, guys. You're like, this doesn't feel like a good time. I really feel like you're just kind of trying to dominate my perspective on things. I don't really feel like I'm having a good time here. And they created all these sort of like, hippie communes of all these new age spiritual beliefs and everything like that. And they were really just great big, buckets of drugs and throwing together almost as many different belief systems as they did cocktails of drugs in some of these cases. But the thing I've observed about this cult in particular was, number one, they were very close to me growing up. I just didn't know that they were called that. I never ran around going like, that's the Love Family. I really don't really have much of a memory of them identifying that. What brought it to my attention was the long hair, the going to the rainbow festivals, the garlic festivals. And then I watched some of the CBS documentaries, which constantly get pulled off of YouTube. I cannot find this one that really tells the story with all the mind control and the frequency entrainment and the way these people are coming in and out of this cult looking like zombies. And again, folks, I'm not trying to be mocking of them, but there's a look these people have that's consistent with the DC Capitol shooting. That's all. Like when you look at those photos of those people that allege to be charging it, they all have the classic look of the Love Family cult, which is in that clip I showed you earlier. It's well, I begin it with this one here.
Hey, everybody. Okay, I'm going to try to handle this as delicately as I can, and but basically.
All right, that right there, guys, is what I'm trying to explain to you. Is like this look here, that look. Does that not look a little bit just like an 80s, 70s rendition of what you saw at the DC Capitol? Am I right? Here's what I'm explaining, guys. And by the way, I'm not trying to be a dick or anything like that, because this guy over here is Steve Allen's son, and he's, pretty popular talk show host from back in the day. But yeah, that's one of the guys that was in the cult and had his hair out and his beard and everything. But I mean,
What I'm telling you guys is look at the look in their eyes when they're in the cult. Steve Allen's a pretty animated guy, if you ever seen him. Hey, very animated. He had a talk show and everything like that. He was, very, very popular, very witty, very, very fast on his toes. Was very much known for his fast wit. And there is his son looking like, I'm in this cult. I love spirituality and Jesus. I mean, not a lot of them look terribly healthy or happy. That's all I'm saying. Like body language wise, looking at them in their eyes, at best they look lost. At worst, they look deranged or narcissistic and clueless. And that's pretty much a common thing. And by the way, guys, this look is being very popularized by certain characters in the alt media right now, I would argue. They're doing like Mexican renditions, Southern California dudes that are like, they know everything about disclosure, man. They're going to tell you, they're blowing the lid off of everything. And notice that these characters all have the, they trademark the hair. Okay, why? Well, because they can blend into all kinds of different movements. They can be a hip leftist from Southern California, man. Hey, man, I'm cool. I'm so cool, man. Or they can be the hippie from Eugene, Oregon. Or they can just, again, like they did with the DC Capitol, they can go like, grr, man. We're here to like beat down the doors of this thing. So that's all I'm trying to explain to you guys. Like I had these people around me. If you don't believe it, says right down here where they actually congregated. It says sources differ on the Love family's duration. They're still around, guys. They just don't call themselves this. They found different covers. Some actually still identify as the Love family, though. The community was reduced to a small fraction residing in suburban Bothell, Washington, where all my material leads back to. So I'm just telling you guys, if somebody out there is telling you I don't know what I'm talking about, they don't know what they're talking about. All right? Just letting you know. There's some people that like to act like that are close to me. They go like, oh, Gabe exaggerates this and that. And I'm like, I do not. These people were around. And this is the technology that they use. So again, guys, I don't know if I want to do this one or not, but. Hey, everybody. Okay, I'm going to try to handle this as delicately as I can. Hang on really quick. I'm trying to see how much time I have here. Yeah, I'm going to do this one because you really do need to understand this material, guys, because the number one, there's the cover like this, right, that you're seeing here. So they can blend in as left, right, whatever the paradigm is. Hey, man, I want Trump to be my president. I got my long beard. Grrr. And it could be like, hey, man, you want a flaxseed milkshake with soy? I totally want to be down in that Portland protest, man. They can go seamlessly back and forth between both movements. It's brilliant, isn't it? But they're neither. They like to start problems. Remember, guys, they love to corrupt everything. So love backwards is spelled EVOL. So, think about what form they're in. I'm sorry, guys. It's just if you ever had some issues with some of these groups, I don't feel very forgiving overall anymore, and I did for a long time. And I'm not trying to be a jerk to anybody from those groups if they've reformed or they've left and they've escaped, and good. But hopefully, if you did get deep into it or you came from it, get some freaking help. I needed a little bit of extra boost, to talk to somebody after being around these people and not even being immersed in them, just to be like going, guys, get me the hell away from these people. I don't know what the hell they're doing. They do. They're a lot of these things you guys call it, that I associate with the program is being run by these cults. And it's simple as this, guys. They know if you have rare genetics, they have to surround you and get their perspective into your perspective. They can't do it themselves. They don't have what you have. None of them have what we have. All they can do is take it from you. Once you get that that's it, they need your spark because they have none, and go back and look at them if you don't believe that. The reason why they're drawn to those cult leaders, because he's like going, hey, all you vapid, soulless souls, you want me to tell you how to get the spark that you don't have? You can get it through me, and then I'll show you how to steal it from all these other people. That's kind of cults. Spiritual bypassing, hacking their way into the energy.
That's why I'm just tired of them, but I'm not going to get into the dark side tonight. I'm going to talk about funny things like the Doji thing, because that's freaking hilarious that happened today. I'm going to show you some cool Doji things.
So I've been talking about some of the media manipulation going on lately, and I wanted to kind of give an example of one way that is kind of going on with RT America, which, for those unfamiliar, there's been kind of a narrative spun about how Russia is trying to subvert politics in the United States, which I don't personally believe to be the truth. I think what's going on here is that we have organizations that can really manipulate all the different perceptions from a distance, and while pretending to sort of blend in with all different groups. I think RT is a good example of this, because you can see some distinct differences between RT and RT America. And one thing that really called this to my attention was a story about this airborne pathogen, new blue-born hack commandeers your phone in 10 seconds by Nadir Israel with this company called Armis Security. The whole thing reeked of kind of a infraguard, kind of bogus security organization, kind of speaking out of the sides of their mouths, really about things that aren't truly technical concepts, but perhaps something else. And so that got me looking more into Nadir Israel as a person, and kind of looking at it: are they a real person? Are they a fictional entity? If they are a fictional entity, why might they be doing that? Because frankly, when I look at the footage, it looks a little bit fake. It doesn't look like a real person to me. And so when you add into that the psychology, or rather the methodology for his naming convention, just sort of like mimics what the Love family did with the, being the Love family Israel, naming them to one name and then the other. And then as I started tracking some of these companies and some of their parallels to other companies, I started noticing that they were, going back to Bothell, and, had some parallels to other names, and were crossing other people's names into this naming convention of Israel. So I'm concerned now that this character is potentially disinformation. So I at least wanted to go over this publicly in a way, because somebody kind of close to me kind of signaled out that the person that's doing this could very well be very close to us at the moment. And so I just wanted to put that out there. So I was able to trace a lot of those business records to various places, and specifically about, Armis. But what I'm concerned about is that RT in Russia, like they may not understand what's going on, as far as this dynamic, because a lot of what they're doing involves colloquialisms that are specific to different regions of the United States. So some of the manipulation of the data that RT may be wanting to communicate to the United States may be actually being interceded by groups that have more Nazi occultist values and connected to these other groups. So it's just something to consider, because I do see a distinct noticeable difference between RT as an international channel and the RT America content. And by the way, quite a few anchors on RT America do very good quality work too. So I don't want to dismiss, everybody out of hat. I think there's radical differences between the various anchors and correspondents you find on that network. And I think some people may believe that they're participating in something that's progressive when it's not, and it should be, mind you. So I think that parts of it are, but I also think parts of it are being subverted over to these other more Nazi occult principles, if you really look closely into the symbolism that's being used. And so how might this guy be doing this? Well, one way would be face swap technology that involves motion tracking, computer-generated imagery, otherwise known as CGI. Some interesting parallels with those names, CGI, computer-generated imagery. And, probably not a coincidence that the Clinton Global Initiative is also CGI, but that's another topic for another time, not trying to get political or anything. But back to Armis. His credentials say that he's, they just feel bogus. They're basically validated through an organization called ISACA, which just seems like a cipher for SAIC, quite frankly, to validate one of their bogus companies, which they have. Well, in my opinion, I think that they seem to be, a lot of companies lead back to the same corporate headquarters. That's not even an opinion. I'm tracking a lot of companies that are connected to these things back to SAIC and Leidos' headquarters in San Diego and Reston, Virginia, and McLean and places like that. So, and I do have records on this, but that's a different topic. But more on Armis, since I think ISACA is kind of basically there to create perceptions around people, to like give them some false credentials. I'm a little bit concerned about his false credentials, because he kind of claims to be from the 82nd Hunted Army Division in Israel, and he claims to be a Google programmer. So, I don't really care if the guy lies about being a Google programmer, if that's what's happening. But if you claim to be in the Army when you're not, that is stolen valor, and that's considered pretty serious. And since I also noticed a disturbing trend of a lot of people that are creating bogus companies, and they call them online. They'll claim to be veteran-owned businesses. And since I've been having a hard time tracking a real human being to some of these companies, and I notice they use actors and fictional entities, I'm concerned a lot of times that they're stealing business away from veterans by claiming to be veteran-owned businesses when they're not. Because think about it, if there's 10 fake veteran-owned businesses, and there's 5 real ones or 10 real ones or 20 real ones, whatever, those other ones, they're all taking away from the business opportunities that a real veteran-owned business would be getting. So I'm concerned about that as well. And, so getting back to the footage, you'll notice that his face just doesn't track properly. And I've noticed this as, it seems a little bizarre to me, because here he is on the most watched news channel on YouTube right now is RT America. And the footage is very poor quality. He doesn't track properly. And it seems very low resolution for a person that claims to be a technical expert talking about viruses. It seems to me that you would have high definition 4K video, that kind of thing, streaming back to a professional news organization like that if you really were a technical organization. But that's an opinion. It just doesn't strike me as being very authentic. So when I researched them and their records, I just found a lot of anomalies, a lot of similar ciphers and fake naming conventions. It doesn't just limit to that. It's just that you see this common theme of people repurposing Jewish names and things in Hebrew. And the fact that he also filmed this clip on September 13th, which in numerology goes 913 if you're in America, or 139 if you're in Europe. I put a slide here. You notice that a lot of these same groups, when they're doing fake news or they're creating fake companies, they will pay homage to that segregation camp back in Tule Lake by signaling out 139 or 113. That is something that they've been doing, and I've noticed that. So I'm not telling you that that's what he did here. It's just that I have another reason based on something that somebody did to me to kind of signal out their intention to harm, that was in fact done for that purpose. And that's as much as I can expand upon at this moment. So further research found, a couple clips that Nadir had put out on the internet, if he is a real person, that just doesn't lend a lot of credibility to him as a security professional. In one, he's got this horse, bouncing on his head and a fan next to him. I think that he's signaling out that he's offering some other services there, but I couldn't tell you for certain. Again,
guys, I don't want to beat around the bush on this one. I know who this person is. The problem was, much like what happens to me frequently in the past, is that these cults are very good at controlling my circumstances, to where I try to get away and they're able to sort of surround me with enough of their people in ways that are very subtle in nature. They get away with it, but just by operating a lot of gray areas within surveillance and the law. And since they're so closely connected to the DOJ and the FBI, and especially ones that are in my family that would prefer to see that, I don't get a day in court for any good reason, not for justice purposes, at least in the case of the injustices that have occurred. What winds up happening in my case is I get stalled and lagged and everything like that. I mean, I have a pretty strong whistleblower case that should be reviewed more closely, but instead what I get is they hire this group of people that fake using CGI, being people like this. This guy does not look like this. Okay, he doesn't look like that. He's for lack of a better term, guys, probably one of the most hideous human beings I've ever seen in person. He behaves hideously. He looks hideous, and he doesn't look like this avatar. Now, he basically bragged that he did this, and he kind of was like, I can only say so much on this, guys. This has been my problem. There's so much more that I could say and would say, even publicly, even if I do most of it privately. There's other things that I would say, except that I can't because of the circumstances that I'm in. But once things are a little bit more stable, and I'm certain that I can be safely kept away from all of these old influences, because that's the problem right now, guys. I really try to get away from the whole group as much as I can, because I was basically surrounded by it since birth. So to me, it was kind of invisible. There's this artist named Tobacco. He had this album called Friends, effed up friends.
that's a little bit of what it was like in some cases. You know, I had some pretty cool friends that they were stable and great people. I'm not saying they're all in this cult, but I had this other cluster that seemed to always have at least a couple that were near me that were always just very, very strange, very avant-garde, always had off the beaten path perspectives on things in ways that I didn't understand or get exposed to through anybody but them. And it was this cult. And that's the thing I'm learning. I go back and I go, that's right. They did have parents that said that they went to the rainbow festivals. Then they said they went to the garlic festivals. And I was having these recalls about my childhood going like, these are the people that have been me since I was a kid. Holy shit. And if they weren't effing with me, they were either like a bad influence kind of a friend, or they were or just kind of like they were just trying to drag you down, like they were trying to make you lower your standards, or if you were really good at something, they wanted to be like, that's so uncool being good at that. Don't you want to be a loser? Don't you want to suck at things? It's so much cool being like this, isn't it? Don't you think? Don't you think? That's very Nazi, guys. That's all I'm trying to explain to you. The purpose of what they do is to if you have a pretty pure soul, if you're the golden child of your own whatever universe, so to say, I'm not saying any of us are, and I sure as shit ain't, but you know, I have pretty pure intentions in what I do. And I've just observed that there's a pretty consistent effort, especially when I'm at my most vulnerable, to try to be like going, yeah. I want to make sure I make you effed up. Yeah. Why don't you do something effed up now? Come on. Don't you want to do something effed up? And I'm like, no, I don't. Would you guys leave me alone? And they'll throw all kinds of things in my face or try to get me to do things. And I'm just like, no. Why do you keep coming at me asking if I want to? I said no. Get the fuck away. Isn't it ironic, you guys? You think that you had like these Department of Justice relatives and everything like that, that criminals would feel a little bit less secure about constantly swarming and approaching you. Yet this group of this cult that's been around me since birth, that's contracted by FBI and DOJ apparently, feels extremely comfortable with approaching me and offering me all sorts of things that I shouldn't do and I don't want to do, and I always say no. But there they are. You want it? No. So guys, let me make sure everybody understands this. You cults, leave me alone. Don't contact me for whatever. I'm going to identify it, okay? Just please, just like save yourself some time and save me some time, and don't try to use me as a conduit to get, because that's the other thing they're doing, guys. That's the reason. If I was a dick for a while, that's why. I had a little bit too much of this element approaching me and trying to use me as a reputation shield for them, because all they got to do is get seen with you a few times or do whatever, and then it becomes like going, yeah, Gabe's my friend, and it's like, I'm not. I'm really not. Some people, yeah, I'm your friend. You can say that. That's cool. I have lots, whatever you want to say. Like there's people that I'm very happy to say yes, but this cult in particular, no, they're using you as a reputation shield. They know they're doing effed up and crappy things to everywhere around you and to people near you. And they're going to use you to gain access to your friends. That's the thing you got to remember about these cults, you guys. I don't want us to be so cynical that we never let anybody in. And there's always the possibility that we can change somebody's heart. I do believe that. I don't think these people, look, it's not hopeless, guys. Some of these people just got such an effed up start. They haven't been shown a better way. Maybe if they get shown a better way, they'll use their powers for good. You know, I think it's possible. I think some of them have that potential and can do that. But a whole cluster of them are severely MK Ultra, severely programmed, very badly. And they just don't care about deception. It comes naturally to them, and they just really do lack humanity, guys. If you've been around, like the guy that plays him, whoa. That's probably one of the least human acting humans I have ever witnessed in person. And the fact that they're intelligent enough to do this makes their cover story as to why their behavior is so weird on the surface all bogus, which is a disability. So that's, again, if it weren't bad enough, these people fake disabilities to get away with being more effective, deceptive Nazis. And they do soft kill operations on American soil, and they're involved with these cults. And so their cover is being weird. Their cover is going like, I'm a wizard. I practice magic. Look at my horns. Look at my Trump hat. Or look at my Antifa black bloc. Guys, whether it's Antifa black bloc or it's them just running ridiculous down your block, bumping into people with a Trump flag, it's the same group. Remember that. When they're being ridiculous and annoying and it's your position and you're going, we don't claim that one. That's not us, you guys. Did anybody bring that one over there? Is that you? Did you guys bring that one? Is that your friend? Is that your sister? Is that your brother? Is that your mom? Is that your dad? Not me. I don't know who the hell that is. Okay. When it's that person at your meeting or your organization or the person who just joined, it's this cult or some variation or spinoff of this cult. It's almost a guarantee. They're like Nazis, guys. They really just like spread all across the country, and they know how to just blend in seamlessly to your long-haired, mustached, goateed movement. So all you out there who got that going on, just remember, man, I don't know. I was kind of advised because I was doing the long-haired thing for a while because it just felt good, you know. I like growing it out. One was like, maybe just cut it short for a while. It might help you out. And now I kind of appreciate it. I kind of like having my biofield under control a little bit. It's already all over the place, but I can detect plenty. I don't need help with long hair. But anyways, guys, I'm going to finish this story up and then I'll finish up with memes. But I just want you to see the telltale signs, guys. Very deceptive. They use CGI masking technology, face swap, and they're in these cults. So they blend in as hippies, they blend in as liberals, but they also blend in as conservatives and Trump supporters. But remember, they'll always look like those guys you saw in that last photo, okay?
It just feels fake to me. And so I just wanted to make sure that people understood that, I don't endorse fake characters like this, and I want them to be called attention to if that's what they're doing. Again, that's a big if. It's an opinion. And the reason why I'm concerned about this other thing is that it seems like he's kind of mocking Judaism here by pretending to be in Tel Aviv, Israel, and has this shawarma pit. And it's very weird that, it's like a pit that's like a gyro. If you have like a gyro sandwich, there's also called shawarmas. So he puts it in Hebrew on his YouTube channel, but if you do a translation, you'll notice that it says in today's shawarma. So, based on previous material that I've done, I'll allow you to draw whatever data correlations you like from that. But again, knowing that there's been people that are behind some of these things that signal out intention to harm, I just feel like that's worth noting to people who are in the know about how this works with occultists. So the other part that concerned me, okay, so it's one thing if I think the guy's fake, right? So then I find out who might be around him that's validating him. And then I find another character named Golan Benoni. I start going through his companies and just noticing that there just seems to be this, again, this aura of phoniness and also of pretending to be Israeli or pretending to be Jewish, taking on the likeness of a Jewish person and then validating companies or authorizing people or, giving them their go-ahead that would be doing dark, destructive things. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to tell you that Nadir is, but his story does appear to be bogus. And so if he's pretending to be Israeli, he'd probably get another person who's pretending to be Israeli to do the same thing if they're a part of one of those Fourth Reich Nazi organizations that I've identified. And I have to tell you, in my personal opinion, up till now, they have all the markers of the same people connected to all the disinformation I've been talking to up until now. And I think you're going to find parallels to some of the same disinformation team that were connected to like Harvey Weinstein and similar individuals. So again, that's very much an opinion, but what kind of backs this up a little bit is some of the bogus clips I found that appear to me to be bogus at the Black Hat conference, because I got to tell you, every time I'm researching somebody that claims to be some kind of security expert or something like that, and I think that they're fake, I can almost always find a Black Hat speech or conference that they were at that kind of makes it appear as if they're a real person. But I don't know. It's just my opinion, but in my mind, if you're a real Black Hat hacker or a real White Hat hacker, why would you do public presentations in either direction? You probably wouldn't. You want to conceal your identity. So in either case, you have to at least be prepared to accept that people are using this technology to conceal their identities for security, for legitimate reasons, and also for cover to do very negative things. And so I don't want to ruin things for people that are trying to do something good, but at the same time, I have identified people that have malicious intentions, and they do appear to be connected to some pretty serious cult activity. And then once you get past that, they seem to be anchoring a lot of that cult activity to things that have very similar parallels to Zodiac killers. And then after you peel back that layer, you start noticing that really what that's about is Nazi occultism. It's anchoring symbols and numerology to Nazi symbols. So since I've identified a lot of these people as having that, and we do consider people in this country that are promoting Nazi values oftentimes to be terrorist organizations, I think that at least some of these things, whether I'm right or wrong, deserve some consideration. And mind you, if I am wrong, I would definitely correct this and pull this article down. I would love to have a face-to-face conversation with Nadir if he's a real person, so I can correct this, or Golan so I could correct this if that would be the case. I wouldn't want to smear anybody or anything else like that. It's just that I keep finding things where I feel like we accept information, just because it has a good-looking, like video clip attached to it. We just all accept it on faith when there's all these technologies like face swap and things like that that can mimic things very easily with graphics cards and even cell phones now. I mean, it doesn't even require that much processing power, but can you imagine what people that have high-end NVIDIA graphics cards can do in real time in VR lab environments using 4K video and things like that? I mean, they can really manipulate information, pretty realistically. And since I've seen signs and markers that appears to be done, and that some of those people using the principles of spheres of influence and what do you want to call it? Some of the other concepts I've discussed, maybe doing a lot of disinformation in the nearby vicinity, and specifically because they know that I'm a person that is trying to get the truth out. So you can understand as an occult work why that would be necessary for them to do. So I just want to put that out there for consideration of those who are in the know and understand what's going on. And I thank you for your time. And again, if I'm wrong about any of this, I'll definitely correct it and, put up a correction to that effect. Thank you. All right, building on the Clinton Global Initiative and some of the connections to Hollywood, before I get started on this one, just want to let people that are part of this acting community, directors, right?
All right, we're not playing that. Sorry about that. I was getting my slides ready, and I couldn't find where the pause button was there. So so I want to finish up the last 20 minutes or so talking about the cryptocurrency spikes and what that really speaks to as far as our joke for our joke of a global currency system, guys. I mean, we don't have to get into the whole what is the Federal Reserve conversation tonight, but it might help, guys, because as long as we're getting into what's a tinfoil hat thing versus something legit, because I'm trying to make appeals to some of my old folks here, guys. If I seem a little reluctant to, to take on certain information sets, it's because I also want to make sure that my friends that used to think a little bit more like me see a little bit of the perspective that I have by bridging the gap a little bit informationally there. Okay. And I really started to get hip to just the total ridiculousness of this whole currency system of ours. As I was, it started off, you'd read the people that are all into like the sovereign citizen movement and telling us all that we're all corporate identities and that there's a way that you can get all this money, blah, 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 if you file. I don't know. I mean, I've heard all these stories, right, guys? So, there's all that contingency of people that do that, but I've never heard of a single person that actually succeeded in doing this big scam. The point is that they get a whole bunch of people into that, that perspective, and it's really trippy, man. There's some strange things going on with my window. Sorry, I didn't mean to get distracted there. It's just bizarre. All right. So sorry, I was talking about the sovereignty. Okay, so conspiracy theories, right? So it's kind of one that's like people talk about, like if you're critical of what is the Federal Reserve relative to America, that it's somehow an anti-American or like something that Timothy McVeigh thinks. So let me make sure that's all cleared up, folks. So those of you who wonder what that's about, study what it really is. Just do a quick history and you'll learn that the Federal Reserve is not a U.S. government entity at all. It does not function as part of the United States government. It is integrated into our system heavily, protected by America heavily, but it is not America.
No, no, it's got nothing to do with that, guys. I'm not the Israel guy. That's a different channel. Go somewhere else for that. No offense. I just meant it like I don't talk that smack. I don't do the whole thing because I just see a lot of this as global Nazism. So when people blame Israel, I think it's because they don't really understand the hidden Nazism that's even going on out there, the hidden hand of Nazism. I've seen it in America, so I can only imagine how it works out there. But no, that's not where I'm going with this. What I mean to say is that it's got zero to do with that. It's just not. It's a global consortium of banks. It's global in nature. It has f all to do with the United States government as a sovereign entity, or us as the American people as having our own monetary system. It is separate from us. It does not really belong to us. It's not truly controlled by us. Yet we ourselves, we have to sort of like defend and protect it. And it's really just this group of interests. It's the World Bank, dude. It's the Federal Reserve is, I mean, what I'm saying is like, stop thinking of it as even countries. It's not even a country thing. I'm saying that the Federal Reserve is simply not the US government. Just look it up. It is not a function of the US government. It is not even an esoteric piece of data, what I'm explaining here. If you look at the dollar itself, it says that is a Federal Reserve dollar. And if it was a true US government issued dollar, it would say something different than Federal Reserve dollar. That's all. And so I'm just helping my friends that are more typically from the left understand that that is not a tinfoil hat, right wing Alex Jones theory. There's many things wrong with the Federal Reserve System as it exists today and what it's causing as far as global issues. And what they try to do, though, is that because so much of American perception is driven by what is behind the Federal Reserve, and that's not always what's in the best interest of America or even the entire world, we become the conduit of the intention of the people that control that Federal Reserve. And we all know that they're not with us. We all know that those people overall just don't care as much about us, guys. It's not it. They're not in it for us. They're in it for each other overall, the ones that think like that. But it occurred to me, folks, that what I'm trying to do really when I talk about forming groups and whatever of people that meet in this form and structure, whatever, it's not unlike like what I'm trying to form. I'm just grassroots doing what they would do at the Bilderberg Group or the Trilateral Commission or whatever else like that. I just don't have malicious intentions. I'm not trying to get like 300 or 400 different people together and say like, hey, let's all meet behind closed doors and not tell these people what we're really doing. No. What I would seek to do, though, is say, hey, if I know the people influence-wise, I do that a lot, influence. If I knew the ones that are the genetic, DNA, biosphere, biofield, genetic influence leaders, yes, I would want to have a seat at the table with those people. Of course I would. I would want to coexist and co-create with them. I would want my biofield to merge with their biofield to vibrate things into physical reality. What does that mean? I'm just telling you like what the biophysical, bioenergetic process is of something as simple as a person thinks up a structure of a building, makes a blueprint out of it, has that blueprint reviewed by their peers. Then all their peers as architects bring those set of blueprints over to the construction team and says, does this jive with you guys? Can you build this? And they go, yeah, we can. I'm going to go hire all these different people. You see, that literally vibrated something into physical reality, did it not? Was that not thoughts become things? The architects all vibrated their thoughts. It started with that one spark of that idea, and it literally vibrated into physical reality. If you think about it, there was even processes involved with the construction of the site that were vibrating the building into physical reality. Yeah, think about it. They had to jackhammer things, right, to get into the foundation and build it. There was an oscillating, signal, a frequency, an oscillation that happened inside your pineal gland. It went much lighter, much less audible, but still happened in the back of your brain that began to vibrate the idea into physical reality, but it began through an emission of
plasma. And then it went into the biosphere, into the biofield. Then it began to merge with all these other ideologies and knowledges of architecture. And then you began to sort of form your plan based on all that was previously known, whether you want to admit to it or care to admit to yourself or not. It is a part of what made your plan. You know, again, it doesn't take away from your individuality or what you individually created. It just means to say that you always have to look up and say and understand that you got some of it from the biofield and everything around you. I do. I look at it, everything that I do that way. I have a hard time taking ownership of anything for that weird reason, even though I feel very proud individually of what I've done. It's just challenging for me to like say like, yeah, I did that. Even on my research, I look at it and when I create a slide, I mean, yeah, I have a little bit of that thing from Wikipedia, but somebody put it there. I have that photo of Schreiber with that description, but that's from Annie Jacobson's book. I have that thing up there, but that's a screenshot from Inglourious Bastards. I mean, all I'm doing is I'm sort of remixing it all together and then trying to form a more cohesive understanding of the material once it's all assembled into one place. So yeah, there's creation there. There's originality to a certain degree because of the way that I go about doing it. I think makes it, you know, I think it helps make it more understandable than if it were just simply by itself. One of those slides can bring all the material into something that's much stronger as one cohesive piece than they would be as individual pieces. It's going to make somebody want to read Annie Jacobson's book. It's going to make somebody want to go watch maybe Inglourious Bastards and get some clues about Operation Paperclip. Then when they read, they might be interested in reading more than one, you know, paragraph of Operation Paperclip in Wikipedia. And then once that happens, they go, hey, maybe I should read that book and a couple other books on that topic if they exist. And, you know, maybe I should learn more from these documentary materials about why that's happening. You know, again, what is the spark? What is the thing that happens that vibrates something into physical reality and lets us make these changes? That's why I spend so much time here with ideologies, even though, you know, sometimes there's really nothing in it. Really, on the surface, it just doesn't seem like it. But it's not always about that. I'm working on something so much more higher level. And so the more I talk, the more I do this, the more people that I interact with, the more conversations that I have like this, the more our biofields are merging into resonance together, and that we're going to bring something into physical reality together, all of us, that will work for as many of us as it can simultaneously as is possible, because it'll just happen just through organic circumstances, unless because somebody told us that we had to, right? So let's talk about that a little bit, since I don't have that much time left. The Federal Reserve System. So why is it all ridiculous if you think about it? Well, I think that things like this kind of prove it, because these types of spikes, this is a cryptocurrency market cap, just to give you an understanding of why I'm talking about Doji. It's because, you know, this Dogecoin has gone through multiple iterations of these kind of bizarre spikes. And so if you kind of look at what cryptocurrencies are worth relative to the US dollar, well, all this means, guys, if you're not familiar with these markets, is that today, if you're to buy one even, you know, Bitcoin, one whole Bitcoin is worth $62,080.05. One Ethereum token is worth $2,473. A Binance coin is worth whatever, right? You keep going down here, XRP, Ripple coin, you got Tether coin, Cardano, you got Polkadot. Oh, and look at here what we got, Dogecoin. Now, have you ever had an investment, ladies and gentlemen, where, you know, you put $1,000 in, you know, maybe today, and then you come back and check on it a month or two later, and that $1,000 investment has increased to 378.47%. That'd be pretty remarkable. I think most people would just be like, whoa, holy, I can't believe it. What happened, man? I got all this money now. Well, that's pretty common within cryptocurrency. And it's just simply because, just like our stock market system and our financial system, it's a total freaking joke. What's really funny too, guys, is that basically all the Dogecoin is, if you really look it up, is Litecoin, but they just changed the core code ever so slightly and put a different name on it. So that's why I wanted to give you guys a quick introduction into memes. Just show you the power of memes and meme magic in general. Not that any of you needed coaching in it, but this is Dogecoin. This is what people are suddenly going crazy for and putting tons of money into and going like, Doji, 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 to the moon, Doji.
It's pretty funny, actually. It's a pretty entertaining coin. I'm not going to lie to you. It's the kind of coin that you want to see win, even though you kind of feel like going, really? I mean, seriously, guys, it doesn't do anything. It's a half-ass coin based on somebody else's coin. All it does is, as a coin, is have this cool dog face, you know. That's really it, guys. That's the coin logo. When you buy Doji, this is really what you have. You have these. And it's a Shiba Inu. This I thought was interesting, though. Dogecoin was founded by IBM software engineer Billy Marcus from Portland, Oregon, and Adobe software engineer Jackson Palmer, who set out to create a peer-to-peer digital currency that could reach a broader demographic than Bitcoin. I don't know if it did that, but I can tell you that nearly everybody knows that, you know, about this or whatever. Like everybody who knows what Bitcoin is, for the most, well, no, that's not true. I would say maybe like a couple years ago, if you were familiar with Bitcoin, you had to almost know what a Dogecoin was because it was always within those top 10. But, you know, of these. But the reason why Doji is kind of known, guys, is just because it's just like, if you go and look it up, there's all these like hilarious memes to Dogecoin, you know, like that are like Dogecoin to the moon. And then he got all these like funny songs that play with them, and like, you know, things where like there's tons of ones where like Hitler's all angry because Dogecoin is succeeding, and then he's getting mad and he's pounding his fist down on the ground and he's talking about how he needs to like get this horrible Shibu or whatever the dog is. Dogecoin meme. I mean, this is why the coin
Let's move on to Bitcoin, shall we? That's a virtual
Bitcoin has now almost overtaken high this week of $900.
See how old this coin is, guys? This is why it got popular, man. It's just these memes that people just put out tons and tons of these video clips and everything like that, going like, oh, Dogecoin, I'm going to have some Dogecoin. And all these people who never would buy Dogecoin are suddenly like going, I don't know, man. I just want to see it win. Just win one for... So you got all these people right now that are like billionaires and zillionaires that are all like going like, hey man, just, you know, like let the poor people have something, man. Let them have their Dogecoin millionaires, man. So right now there's always happy people that like, you know, put their life savings into Dogecoin that are like Doge millionaires. And all of you Doge millionaires, please contribute to this channel. I would appreciate it very much. There's tons of them, though. Dogecoin memes. Let's see here. Is that one like a summary of them? I was trying to find the one. There's like a... Oh, this is it. Yeah, Hitler hates Dogecoin.
nördlichen Stadtrand zwischen Frohnau und Pankow.
Yeah.
Und im Osten ist der Feind bis zur Linie Lichtenberg, Marsdorf, Karlsruhe.
This is like a common video meme. See, Dogecoin taps into like all these popular memes of like, you know, there's like this one. I'm not exactly sure all the etymology of it, but those who don't know what this is, like effectively what people do is they take this clip of some German film about Hitler and Nazism where he's just losing his shit and getting all upset about something and going like, no, I want this to stop now and I will never have this again. And they just mess up the translation intentionally for it to be about whatever topic that Hitler's hating on. In this case, it's Dogecoin. So he just does this long speech like, this dog is making this whole coin go viral. I want it to stop now. So it's funny for that reason, but.
Steiner konnte nicht genügend Kräfte für einen Angriff massieren. Der Angriff Steiner ist nicht erfolgt.
Everyone wants to go to the moon.
It's pretty clever, you have to admit. It's just things like this that get people's attention, you know? And then, you know, somebody looks inside their phone app and they're just like, maybe I should get one of those. Well, you're lucky, guys. It's not like Bitcoin. I'm not telling you to go do it, by the way. I'm not suggesting it because these things go up, down, crash, fall all the time or anything like that. But it's just now there's all these people that can just get into their phone app and like, you know, like quickly get a credit card on and be like going, yeah, what the hell, man? I'll buy $10 worth. Show me some love, all you Doji millionaires. Show me love, Doji millionaires, or you will not go to the moon. Do you understand me? I'm going to make my own Doji memes. It's like, you will not go to the moon, Doji millionaires, unless you share some of your Dojis with me, please. I'm asking nicely, but I'm just telling you it'll be easier to go to the moon with me. Trust me. Help me with the Dojis. It's a pretty funny meme, actually. I mean, guys, go look them up. They're hilarious. Dogecoin memes are just like, you just can watch video after video, and it's these ridiculous like I don't know. They all look kind of like Japanese anime, and you know, like mixed with they'll like put different like coin heads on footage from like of Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, you know, what is it, like handshaking Carl Weathers, you know, that big, like big hand grip and everything like that. You know, like, can you feel it? Dogecoin, can you feel it? Anyways, like I'm honestly not trying to do a commercial or anything like that. I just started seeing everybody talking about it again. I'm like, going, really, guys? Are we really going through another iteration of the Dojis? It was kind of funny though. But yeah, guys, I have actually, what's really sad actually? I actually had some Doji like way long time ago before, you know, and I actually, like, if I had held on to that first lot that I had from like a long time ago, because it was like from like about 2000. God, dude, it's been about 5 years. I looked at what it's worth, you know, because at the time I'm like, well, this isn't going to go anywhere, and I cashed it out, right? And I cashed out like $75, I think is what I got for it at the time, or something like that, which actually, I think it actually might have appreciated. I don't remember. But the point would have been that it wound up like being, what do you want to call it? Like, it's worth now, like if you would have, like, somebody would have held on to it today, it would be worth like thousands of dollars. Like if you just been lucky enough to forget that you had it, you could go back into a Doji wallet now and be like 1,000 there. So those of you who forgot that you had some Dogecoin, you might want to think about that. I don't know. Anybody out there who remembers that? But guys, just talking about the power of memes, you know, like it's those little things that get inside people's perceptions. I mean, that's part of how we do the collective hive mind things in the positive way too. And so I would say take your lessons from everything you just saw there, you know, whether it's the Dogecoin things or things that they do with advertising, like understand the methods, understand the techniques that are used, and learn how to reverse hack it, because these people, they really are messing with our perceptions, you know, but we can control it better than they can, just by simply understanding that all things get vibrated into physical reality because thoughts become things. That's the way the process works. We program our plasma platelets. We're selecting it. So the more of us who get this, the more of us that understand that we need to be in a co-creative, coexistent process, and the importance of getting more people involved with that, more people that are of a common perspective. We can't let this go, guys. We got to do this. So thank you very much for joining, everybody. I really appreciate it.